All right, we're gonna get this show going, everybody. Just adjusting my camera. Let's get. Cool. All right, what's up, everybody? So, we are getting on in here. So, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. So, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, we are live, everybody. We're just kind of hanging out here. Again, I got some doggos and house guests right now, so if you hear that in the background, that's what's happening. Ooh, that is a beautiful board. Gonna open in the Instagrams and just letting the world know that we are live. So we are live. All right. So let me. Oh, wrong link. But yeah, welcome everybody. We are getting it going. Just getting my Twitch link going. But yeah, it's a good time, everybody. We're gonna kick going in a few minutes. We got a cool stream, and we were able to talk about our awesome giveaway, which was pretty cool. Our winner was announced just recently, so that was great. So we'll give a shout out to our winner, which is awesome. All right, we are going. Alright, I just had to delete some spam in my text, which is pretty cool. Y'all, what's up, Blue Cubes? We're hanging out for a quick second. I just want to put it out on some of the promo channels and some of the servers really quick, and then we'll kind of get this show going. But yeah, we're doing the Black Alps board today, which is pretty cool. Oh yeah, didn't they make Black Omnikeys? I could have swore they did back in the day. I don't have any interest in collecting any of the Black Omnikeys. To be completely honest, I'm just going after the mainline blue and then the gold badge ones. I know that probably would have been like a rebranded one. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, again, we're definitely gonna, before we get this one going, we're definitely gonna kind of highlight the who our winner was, which I find hilarious. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw in the Discord, but like my younger sister's boyfriend is the one who won the giveaway, which I find hilarious. Again, it was done completely random. I had again the Me 6 bot. Again, that's what facilitated the giveaway. Folks, don't get too worried. Again, if you didn't, thank you to everyone who kind of supported it. It was really cool. Yeah. Oh, I find it hilarious that he's the one who won. Of all the people. Like, I texted my sister, I'm like, of all the people to win the freaking giveaway. I mean, I told them, like, it's open to anyone. I just told them if it's a family member who wins it, I'm like, I'm re-rolling. Yeah, I just deleted the scammer, so, scammers are no bueno. So I'm just putting it, Twitch with vintage Alps build. Cool. Yeah, but it's gonna be cool. But yeah, we're definitely doing a cool build, and I have a funny story from the weekend working on some of these vintage boards. We got a lot of vintage stuff done this weekend. So I'm just going into some of the promo chats. But yeah, I'm like kind of doing what Alex does, just kind of hanging out, folks. But it should be a good time overall. Yeah, we have an imposter in my server. I'll definitely get that person banned because we don't want that. We want good and fun things, everybody, in here. So, but yeah, it's been a good day. Good times overall. Just going into some of the self-promo. But yeah, we got some cool projects coming up. We're also going to be doing some Topera stuff, which is going to be super sick. So again, I mostly do like Alp stuff and like vintage stuff. But like, I have a client who reached out to me. A guy I sold a keyboard to. He's interested. He's getting into the world of Topra, and he's asked me. He picked up some Topra stuff, and he wants me to build the Topra for him. So I'm like, yeah, I definitely can do Topra. Like, I'm pretty good at doing. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm as. I wouldn't say like I'm like one of the go-to guys in the Topra world to like build stuff, but like I know what I'm doing, for the most part. So like Topra is really fun. So I mean, it's electrocapacitive Topra, like stuff like that. Like it's such a good time. And, like, I love working with those boards. So, I am really, really excited to kind of work on some Topra stuff. Because I also have some personal Topra builds that I got to get going. What's up, Parrot? We're just kind of putting some stuff on in terms of... I'm just kind of putting stuff on the promos. I'm not in the rush to get this stream kind of going just yet. Give it, like, the first, like, just kind of hanging out. I'm just kind of going on some of the self-promo channels and whatnot to kind of get this going. Oh yeah, this guy who spammed my chat is when it is spamming other servers. So that's not good. Like, leave my server alone. I'm definitely gonna ban you. So let's go. I'm gonna go into Discord and ban this guy really quick. All right. Alright. Alright, give me a... Speaking of my... Alright. Alright. Yeah, I just put it out in the channels. Let me go and ban this guy in my bot who's been spamming my stuff. Hi. Okay, general discussion. Okay, so let's go to my server and let's ban this guy. Probably gonna have to do it on the computer, so give me a second, folks. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna ban this guy because I don't need people. We are here to have fun in my server, not spam the server. So let's go into it. All right, let's go to settings really quick. Server settings. Okay, let's go to members. Okay. Okay, so we are going to ban this, we're going to block this person. All right, cool. We just banned that person. So I'm just going to put that in Discord really quick. All right, cool. What's up, Jedi? What's up, my man? So we're just doing some. I just putting some stuff out in Discord, and I just had to ban a spammer from my server. They literally spammed it like 3 times. Like a place who wants to buy a PlayStation 5. Everybody. I'm like, nah, fam, we good. So, all right, friends. So yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to. I'm gonna move the Omnikey out of the way because we'll kind of figure out which one we want to build. I have 2. I want to kind of ask the chat too. So we had our winner today for our transition light was announced. So I want to just kind of showcase what this person is going to be getting. Yeah, I want a steam machine. Yeah, so again, this is our white Alps transition light. So again, funny enough, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who joined. This was our very first ever giveaway, and we had a bunch of people sign up and join the Discord server. So again, have fun in the Discord server, talk about keyboards, share memes, all that crap. The Discord server is supposed to be a forum and a community where we can just, again, talk about, again, whether it be metal rectangles, keyboards, technology, or whatever have you. But this is the transition light, and funny enough, it was done by a raffle. The ME6bot facilitated it. And the winner of it is actually the boyfriend of my freaking sister, which I find hilarious. So that's going to be really, really cool. So, he's never used Alps before. Funny thing, the person who's getting this, I'd say about a year and a half ago, I gifted them a Bauer Light. they were my sister kind of reached out to me and said like her friend, like at the time they were friends, and they said like, hey, he needs a keyboard, can you like hook him up? I'm like, yeah, I got a transition light, I got a Bower light I got to get rid of. So yeah, this is light years above what it is. Again, I am giving specific instructions when I send this board to him. Do not take it apart. This board is fully tested. I'll kind of show him how to customize the RGB and whatnot. But just for the purposes of this build, do not remove the keycaps. Do not take it apart. It's all soldered in place, so there literally is no reason to open this keyboard up. This is not hot swap, and also you'd probably break the keycaps if you try to take them off. Oh, it's hilarious. But one thing about this board too, which is cool, that's coming built with Alps. That was kind of the purpose of our giveaway. But this keyboard, I'll DM my sister's boyfriend later. I find it hilarious. But they are getting the parts for Cherry MX. So you're getting the Cherry MX plates, you have the whole foam kit, and you're getting the Cherry MX PCB. So you're basically getting 2 keyboards, so which is really interesting. So the Cherry MX parts are going to be included, but I'm going to be completely honest, this thing is way cooler with Alps and it being clicky. This is a clicky keyboard, and you can have that Pro Gamer RGB underglow. So yeah, so we'll be mailing this out probably later this week. It's literally staying in like the Los Angeles region, which is funny, so that kind of helps. But I want to just tell everyone, I can tease our next giveaway. So let me go grab it really quick. I'll show you guys the next giveaway we're gonna work on. So let me grab it. Okay, where the heck are you? Okay. Yeah, here we go. All right, let me grab it, everybody. Here we go. I'll show you guys the next giveaway we're gonna do. We're gonna do another keyboard. So those are gonna be really cool. So oh yeah, you want to see your sound test of that particular thing? Yeah. Oh, I'm not giving them any MX switches. They got to source MX switches, keycaps, and stabilizers. I ain't doing that. Like you can figure that out. For this one, the transition light, it's very clicky. So it's built with a Careless solder PCB, polycarbonate plate, Alps white clicky switches, and this is a fully polycarbonate case. These switches sound freaking awesome. So who knows? I may throw in some free switches. But yeah, it's a really cool board. So, but yeah, let me showcase the board, the next giveaway we're going to do. I don't know if we're going to do it this month, but it's going to be our next major giveaway. So this board right here is going to be a Test 65 that I built. So this is but the way this Test 65 is built is really interesting. So let me showcase this really quick and show y'all just kind of how crazy this board is. Because it has a very fun theme. You can kind of see it. So let me get it out and I'll show you what makes this board really cool. So, all right, this is a Divinity Test 65. And as you can see, it is a Breaking Bad themed Test 65. So I don't know if I have anyone who is a Breaking Bad fan. But this board is built with Wakuo Harmony linear switches. So very nice, very clacky. And it has the Novel Keys Heisenberg keycap set. So this is going to be our next keyboard build. So it's a 65% with a top right blocker. It does have split backspace. This board is soldered in. So there's no real swapping the switches unless you really want to get into it. And I imagine the person who wins this isn't going to be probably experienced in solder. But this board is basically going to come built like this. And you're also going to get the rest of the keycap set as well. But it's in this green colorway. It has this stainless steel weight. But yeah, this is going to be our next giveaway. Probably later this month we're going to run this one, which will be really cool. Oh yeah, it says exactly. Yeah, it says Science Bitch. It has a little Heisenberg drawing from the show. Has Sud Legends. It says Heisenberg. And again, part of the reason when I built this, I put the split backspace in is because of this set. I wanted the Breaking Bad logo to be in there, just how it is in the show. So that's really, really cool. So really, really cool board. You will get the rest of the keycap set as well. It comes with a really cool box as well. I just wanted to give away this board because it just doesn't fit in my collection, especially my 65s. This is a really cool budget board. This board, believe it or not, was like $65 when I bought it. But it just doesn't have a place in my collection. I'd rather give it to I would rather give it to someone who can get more use out of it, which is really cool. So a really cool board. But this is definitely going to be our next giveaway, folks. So really awesome thing. So, all right, I kind of wanted to ask a suggestion. So we kind of have 2 keyboards we can build today. So we have this one. We have this Omnikey. We're building an Omnikey with Alps regardless. So we got to figure out which one are we going to build. So we have 2 options. We have the Omnikey 102 with black Alps. Or we can do the Omnikey 101 with orange Alps. So we kind of have 2 options to kind of figure out what we would want to do. So I don't know if people, what are people kind of thinking? Again, both these boards are ready for final assembly and soldering and whatnot. Both are really, really cool. I mean, yeah, black Alps. I think I was asked kind of gauging in Discord today, and a lot of people were kind of leaning towards the black Alps build, which I think would be a really good choice. This is a really cool board. And again, we also have the orange Alps. Again, these have all been lubed, and these feel amazing. So, honestly, I think we might just do black Alps, to be completely honest. Because, I'll be completely honest, I've actually never used... These are... so, these Alps right here are called pine black Alps. So, within Alps, you have 2 some switches have 2 variants. You have earlier variants of the switches, which are called the pine variant. And you have later switches, which are of the what we call the bamboo variant. So, this particular one, this is my AO3 Polaris. This has what we call... This also has black Alps, but these are of the later bamboo varieties. These are later black Alps. So we'll definitely do a sound test between bamboo black Alps and then pine black Alps. And I do not have a lot of experience with the black Alps. So I guess we're doing the other one. So I guess we're doing black Alps today. So we'll start disassembling the board and remove the PCB assembly. But I don't really have any experience with this particular switch. This is a harder... Pine black Alps are a little bit harder to find. You can find bamboo black Alps that are pretty easily, but pine blacks have been kind of elusive for me for a while. So I haven't... So they're going in this board, and they're going in the Vertex Seal board, which I'm still kind of working on. Yes, I have a board with bamboo white Alps. So my bamboo whites are in my Hex 3C V2. Yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing. But again, I wanted kind of the goal with the Alps project and just my Alps collection is I want to have boards with at least 1 board with every switch type. The only switch types I'm not getting, there are 3. Of course, neon green tactile Alps. Those are ridiculous. Amber linear Alps, so SKCL Ambers are really hard to find, and then SKCL Browns. Those 3 switches, I cannot get my hands on. They're just so absurd. They're so rare and absurdly expensive. Like for example, if I want to put a set of neon greens in this port, I'm looking between $2,000 and $3,000. If I wanted to put a set of linear brown Alps, I'm probably looking at about $1,000. If I'm looking at a set of amber linear Alps for this board, I'm looking at the last board that sold, to my knowledge, with amber linear Alps sold for about $7,000. So those 3 switch types are just absurdly rare and expensive. And I'm sorry, I'm not taking out a small car loan to put switches to put in a keyboard. That's just kind of ridiculous for me. So like the most expensive switches I have are going to be amber clicky Alps and then brown tactile Alps, which both of those are about $5 to $6 a switch. Now that's expensive, but that's not like $20 to $30 a switch plus expensive. So yeah, so that's what so I don't have a lot of experience, and I'm really excited to get this board built because I'm really excited to try these pine blacks in like the best Alps chassis, which is really cool. And speaking of Omnikeys, update on the Omnikey project. So I have 7 of the 10 Omnikey models. There's 3 models I've been looking for. There's another Omnikey 102 model, and the only difference between that model is there's no escape key right here. So it has this kind of a blank F-row area right here, and the escape key is down here, and like how it would be on like a 60%. I found a user who is selling one that is in really clean condition that I'm going to be getting from them later in February. I also found a user who has the Omnikey 101P, which is one of the really, really late Omnikey Omnikey models. And I'm also going to be getting that from them later this month. So I've tracked down 2 of the 3 remaining Omnikey models. The only one I don't really have any leads on is a Northgate Omnikey 101i. So if anyone finds any leads in a Northgate Omnikey 101i, please let me know, because I would definitely want to buy it to round out the Northgate Omnikey collection. And again, I have plans for those remaining Omnikeys to get switches. And again, the kind of goal for this Omnikey project is every single Omnikey is going to have a different switch type. Which is going to be really cool. Like, for example, I mean, our most crazy Omnikey we've done is the Northgate Omnikey Ultra, which has Amber Alps, which has like $600 worth of switches in it, which is just absolutely insane. So, all right, let's flip this puppy over. Another thing, too, we did a lot of work on the Apple boards. So once the Northgate Omnikeys are done, we'll have the Orange Alps one built. And then I still have to finish restoring switches on the Northgate Omnikey 101N. So I still have to restore the switches and lube the switches for this board. This one's getting ivory switches. So we still got to do that one. And then also, of course, do final assembly in the Orange Alps. So once we get this out one and the last 2 Omnikeys that I currently have, we're going to shift gears to vintage Macintosh. I have 8 Apple Macintosh boards that need to be rebuilt. We threw a bunch of the PC. I got a bunch of the plates done except for one. I have a spray painting rack that I kind of built by hand that I just stick in my front yard, and that's how I paint plates outside. And I usually like paint them in the morning. I just kind of let them sit and bake in the sun all day, and that usually cures them. And tragically, I stepped outside and the wind had knocked over the plate rack. So I had like 5 full-size Apple keyboard plates that got knocked over. And 4 of the 5 plates were fine. Thankfully, it was on grass, and the plates fell on the grass, and they were fine. No, so one of the Omnikeys, right now, my plans are not to put whites in the Omnikeys. Now, I am going to put pine whites when once we're done with the Apple boards, we're going to put, we'll do the FK 2001 project, which we have 5 of those boards, and one of those boards will have pine whites. But I don't plan on putting pine whites in any of the Omnikeys, because the remaining Omnikeys, I want to put brown Alps. I want to put salmon Alps, and then the last one will either be yellow or cream linear Alps. Those are kind of the 3 remaining ones. I want the Omnikeys to have the really, really nice switches, and then the FK 2001s are gonna get. Of course, we'll have the Blue Alps one, which will be the best one. We'll probably put like bamboo whites, pine whites. Bamboo blacks. We'll probably put in one. I know I want to do one with SKCL greens because I want a linear FK 2001 and things like that. Oh yeah, no, I don't want to put pine whites because they came with them. The purpose of this project was to put really absurdly cool Alps inside. The pine whites are cool, but they're like not like I have the amber and I have the Blue Alps one. Like the Blue Alps Omnikey 102 is right here. Like can't get much cooler than that. So, but yeah, sorry, that's me rambling on. I'll start disassembling this damn thing. So, but yeah, so a lot of work. Speaking of this Omnikey, a lot of work was done off camera. So when we get to for a lot of these vintage Alps restoration rebuilds that I've been doing, when we get to the final assembly of the boards on stream, dozens of hours have been put into these boards. Between cleaning the cases, getting all the old scuffs off of them, cleaning the keycaps, refinishing the plates, restoring the PCB, fixing any issues on the PCBs, as well as cleaning and restoring and lubing the switches and reassembling those switches. There is a lot that goes into these particular keyboards, and that takes time. It's a very, very slow process. So let's flip this over, and then let's get this let's unmount the bottom mount. So I just want to pull this off carefully. Perfect. Pulling that off. Perfect. All right, let's get that out, and then we're also. So one thing about these old Omnikeys, which is cool, is they are most of these are bottom mounted, with the exception of a couple of them are top mounted, but most of them are bottom mounted, and they screw in. So there's kind of these mounting points that the plates kind of rest on, and then you screw them down. That kind of holds them in place. So, but this plate has been fully refinished. This plate was a rust bucket. So one thing about Northgate Omnikeys, if this is a vintage keyboard that interests you, they're amazing keyboards. This is probably the best Alps family of keyboards that were ever produced. Like, they are up there. They're absolutely amazing. Like, top tier quality. Bottom case is like freaking steel. Top case, everything about these boards is top tier quality. But the problem is, one big problem with these keyboards are the plates. When they manufactured these plates back in the day, they put zero coating on them. They didn't even put a clear coat. It's bare steel. So these plates on these boards are freaking rust buckets. So if you get one, especially one that was well loved, you're gonna have to tear it apart, and you're gonna have to sand down that plate or put like rust remover and then refinish that plate. Whether you get it professionally coated or you just spray paint it yourself, like, that's gonna take time. You're gonna have to do that. So that's just one thing about these keyboards. If you get them, they are just freaking rust buckets. So how do I clean everything? So let me pull it up and I'll kind of show you what we do. I'll kind of show you what's been done to this keyboard. So let me pull the PCB to the side. We'll put that to the side. So I'll start off with the case. So on the case front, let me just kind of, there's some stuff I gotta wipe out of it. It's just crap. So on the case front, I'll start off with the case and how we restore it. So sometimes this is ABS plastic. So ABS plastic does yellow over time. There is a process known as retrobrighting, where you essentially stick this in like a tub of hydrogen peroxide and you stick it either in sunlight or UV light, and that'll re-brighten the plastic. I don't do retrobrighting because it's not permanent. It will re-yellow within a year or two. And also, every time you retrobright, you are damaging the chemical composition of the plastic, and it becomes very brittle over time. Even though this plastic this is in relatively good condition. Like, this plastic is very robust and in really good condition. This is not brittle. This plastic is still very flexible and in incredible condition. This plastic will probably last another 30, 40 years. So, and I don't want to damage that plastic. So I personally do not retrobright. But if I had like a client who reached out who wanted me to restore a board and they wanted to retrobright, I would just give them my retrobright disclaimer. And if even after hearing that it'll re-yellow and it could damage the plastic, and if the client still says, I want to do it, cool, I'll retrobright. But my personal collection, I'm not retrobrighting. So, but what I do is I stick the bottom and top case in hot soapy water, and I get like a scrub daddy or sponge, and I just scrub these off. If there's like scuff marks or stuff that's really kind of on here, I'll take like a Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and I'll scrub those off just to make sure I have a nice clean surface on these particular boards. So that's how I clean the case. And then the main PCB assembly, again, with these boards, especially if you need to refinish the plate, you're gonna have to desolder. Because again, if this plate is completely rusted through, you have to desolder the entire board. So you have to desolder all the switches, and then separate the plate from the PCB and remove all the switches. And then you're either gonna have to put rust remover on this, or you sand it down to bare metal, and then you refinish it of a color of your choice. I keep them black because I just want the focus to be on the keycaps. But some people paint these crazy colors. I've seen people do green, orange, Blue Keeps paints his plates blue. So that's one thing. And also with the PCBs, I usually scrub my PCBs in 91% isopropyl alcohol. Part of the reason I do that is, again, there's usually a lot of like dust, dirt, and grime on these PCBs. So I just clean them off. Now, isopropyl alcohol is non-conductive, so it doesn't hurt the electronics within the PCB, which is really nice. Now, one thing I do want to go over is this. If you look at this, we have this big black wire on the back of the PCB. So when I was desoldering this particular PCB, it was actually, I damaged the pads on this particular switch. So essentially what I had to do is I had to use my trusty multimeter, and I had to essentially track down where does this connect in terms of the traces on the PCB. Now what's cool about these retro PCBs, you can follow all the trace lines to where everything connects. So you just follow the trace line from this switch to the kind of the next contact point, whether that be another switch or another diode. So what I essentially did is, again, I found that it connects to this pin on this switch. So I just, again, got a piece of wire, and then I soldered that wire on this pin, and then I soldered it to the pin, the kind of switch where the pad was damaged, and that bridges the connection, allowing this switch to work properly now. So that's something that is pretty interesting. But that's pretty much what we do. Now, in terms of the switches, that's where probably the vast majority of the work is. So what I do, once I have the switches desoldered, what I like to do is, again, I fully disassemble the switches and I put them into their individual components. I ultrasonic clean the switch components. I let them air dry overnight. And then I reassemble, once they're air dry, I reassemble them. Now I do add a little bit of 205G0 to the top part of the switch. So the top housing of the switch, there are rails inside that switch on each side of the switch. I lube those rails, and then the colored part, which is the part that the keycap interfaces, that's the part you're pressing down. I lube the parts, the sides of that switch that go inside the top housing. And that kind of smoothens up the switch and makes them really, really nice. And that's kind of what I do. And that just takes a metric truckload of time. It takes forever. That's one thing I tell people with Alps. It is a lesson in patience. And they take freaking forever. To properly do Alps and the kind of my methodology, it takes a lot of time. But the end result is worth it. Like, if you ever get a chance to, like, see some of my boards in person. I do a lot of the local meets here in Los Angeles. So if you're in like Southern California or like Los Angeles area and you see my stuff at meets, please try it. There's a metric boatload of work into these boards, but the people who have tried my boards really, really are amazed with the level of work and kind of how obsessive I am with these boards, how much time I put into the board. So, but everything works. So also too, before I put the switches in, I test them before I insert them into the PCB because I really don't want to desolder. And I figured out how to use my multimeter. So the multimeter makes life 1,000 times easier now. So yeah, but we should be good to go. So I'm going to flip this puppy over and we got a bunch of switches. We did solder in some switches around the corners just to kind of hold stuff in place, but the vast majority of these switches got to be soldered in. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to get the soldering iron fired up and we're going to kind of go from there. So it's going to be a good time getting these going. I also got a new thing of solder. So I got another big thing of solder because I ran out. Because we burned through a lot of solder considering the builds what we do. So let's get this one going. But yeah, there's a lot of work that's been done on this board off camera. So I only really like to do like the final assembly because again, like I said, if we did a bunch of stuff on camera. So the retro keyboard stuff. So I got into it because of I'm involved with the keyboard club over at the University of Southern California here in Los Angeles. That is my alma mater. That's where I did my university work. And I got connected with the keyboard club about a year and a half ago. I got connected with the USC Keyboard Club, and it's cool because it's run by students at the University of Southern California. And the students are awesome. They're a really good group. They're passionate about keyboards. A lot of them are like engineering students and like industrial design students. So like being interested in keyboards can also relate to like what they're studying in college and also what they potentially would want to pursue professionally. I do a lot of their meets. I take a big chunk of my collection out to the mini meets that they do throughout the year. And they're always appreciative of the cool stuff I bring out. Like again, I bring out when I go to I like going to the college meets because it's kind of cool meeting university students and also bringing out aspects of my collection because I have a lot of really rare and high-end keyboards in my collection. A lot of keyboards that like a university student who's on a budget probably would never consider because it's probably out of their price range or not on their radar. And I don't say that to be a gatekeeper or an elitist. That's just, again, if you're college students on a budget, you're not going to go out and buy a $600 keyboard. Yeah, I mean, there's other things you got to pay for in college, like tuition and textbooks and food or like rent or housing. There's other things you got to pay for. Again, they were really appreciative of what I do for them. And so one of the mini meets in late March last year, I went and they said, we have a gift for you. And I said, well, what do you got? And they said, we were cleaning out the e-waste bin at the engineering school and we found these vintage keyboards. And they said, we want to gift these keyboards to you. And I said, oh man, that's really cool. At the time I wasn't into Alps and I wasn't into vintage and I took the keyboards home and I took the keycaps off and I was, oh my God, these are Alps keyboards. And I was curious about Alps because one of my good friends who's also into keyboards built an Alps keyboard like January last year. And I saw his board. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And I said, I want to do this. He said, dude, it's a lot of work. And I said, I don't know if I want to do that. And then I was just kind of learning about the boards and I was typing on them, even though they were kind of clapped. I'm like, these are really cool. And I did some more research and I said, I want to do a modern keyboard build. I'm going to harvest these switches and put them on a modern keyboard. And so what I did, I was gifted 4 boards. I gave one of them to my friend and then I kept 3 of them and I put switches in. So this board I just showed earlier, this is my AO3 Polaris build. I put the black Alps one of the boards had bamboo black Alps. So I put those Alps in this board. This was actually my first Alps build. It's kind of evolved over time. Like it has these Bondwell keycaps now, but this has those switches from USC. My 2 Frog TKLs. Let me go grab those and show you those. Yep, sorry, I knocked stuff over. Give me a second. Let me grab the Froges. So I have 2 Frog TKLs that have switches from USC, from the USC board. So this particular board has ivory Alps. This has white ivory Alps. So this is from the University of Southern California keyboard. Wait, X that. That's the wrong frog. That is a cool board. Sorry, this one has ivory Alps, which I got from USC, which is really, really cool. So this is the other USC build. These switches came from that board I got from the USC Keyboard Club. And the third and final board that has switches from USC is going to be right here. Let me grab it. It's my Frog Mini. Sorry about that. My Frog Mini has salmon Alps. I ignore the bottom row being messed up. But this has salmon Alps. So my bamboo black Alps and the AO3 Polaris, my Frog TKL 8K with ivories, and then my Geon Frog Mini with salmon Alps. So these 3 keyboards are really special. Like the boards are cool themselves. The switches are probably some of the most common Alps that you can find. But these 3 keyboards are really special because of the story of the switches. I can trace where these keyboards were during their lifetime. They were at the University of Southern California. They were in an engineering school. They could have been in a library, a computer lab in the 80s and 90s, and they could have been in a professor's office. They could have helped someone cramming for finals. They could have helped a student write their dissertation or do research. So I really like the story of these 3 of my modern Alps keyboards. The story of the switches inside these keyboards are really special. Because again, they come from my alma mater. I'm a big college football fan, so USC has been a big part of my life and my family's life. My sister went there, so it's USC holds a very special place in my heart. So being supportive of their keyboard club has been really cool. So these 3 keyboards in my modern Alps rotation and collection are very special because of the story and the lineage of these switches. And actually, the USC Keyboard Club just gifted me another keyboard. So. I'll show you the keyboard they gave me, and I'll show you the keyboard we're going to put them in. So the USC Keyboard Club I met up with their president, and he gifted me this bamboo black Alps keyboard. So he gave me a Dell AT101 in the black colorway, which is super sick. So we're going to restore this board, but we're going to switch swap it because I want the switches for one of my modern keyboard projects, which is another Frog TKL. This is the Frog TKL Ligera. We're going to put the switches in this keyboard with some really, really cool and special keycaps. So that was kind of my Alps story time, kind of how I got into Alps, and it's just kind of taken off from there. Getting into, I discovered a bunch of people who were really big within the Alps subculture of keyboards, like Carolus, Alec Tardy, Shiro-san, and a bunch of other really amazing people. And they've kind of helped me in my journey, kind of get to it. So it's really, really cool. So yeah, we're definitely going to be doing some more stuff with USC. And actually, our rival university, UCLA, or the University of California, Los Angeles, they just started up a keyboard club, and I've been reaching out to the students over at UCLA to be kind of help them with their particular keyboard club. Even though I'm from the rival university, I have a lot of fond memories of UCLA. When I was there, one of my best childhood friends got a full ride to UCLA. So when we were in college, I would go over to UCLA on the west side of Los Angeles all the frickin' time, and we'd hang out in his dorm, in his apartment. So I'm very familiar with UCLA. I know some USC people are kind of snobby, USC versus UCLA. Like, I love both universities, and heck, if one of my kids got into UCLA, I'd be like, dude, you're frickin' going, right? So it's really cool. So a lot of really cool stuff, and I've kind of become the Alps guy. A lot of people have called me the Alps guy. Like, I had people at keyboard meets come up to me and talk to me about the Alps stuff. At Keep Life, I had a whole table of Alps stuff, and I had a bunch of people who were pretty big in the hobby and OGs who were just kind of amazed at the stuff I was doing. So it's kind of been an overnight success in terms of just kind of showcasing Alps. And another thing too, I've kind of made Alps my niche within the keyboard hobby that I like to cover and what people kind of know me for. So if you see Alps content on like Reddit, Discord, like heck, even on YouTube, or Twitch, it's most likely me. That's just kind of my stuff. I've just kind of made Alps my kind of thing and niche within the hobby. And I do like client commissions. I've had built Alps keyboards for people in different parts of the world. So I've had a really good success with custom commissions and whatnot. So it's been a really, really fun ride. And just kind of doing this self-discovery of Alps and just kind of finding a niche within the hobby. So it's really, really cool. So we're gonna start soldering switches in. But there's a really, really cool one. Oh yeah, we had Fed come in too. What's up, Fed? And Parrot. So a lot of really, really cool stuff. We got a lot of cool projects coming up. Again, we're going to start restoring all the Macintosh boards really soon. So we're going to be seeing a lot of vintage Macintosh. I have almost a complete collection of the Alps Macintosh keyboards from back in the day. So that's really sick. So let's start doing this. So we'll start off with our numpad. And we'll start doing our numpad switches. So this is a really good keyboard. So this is what's called a Northgate Omnikey 102. And this is a really cool keyboard. And it gets its name because it has 102 keys. So, and it uses, it has a very interesting layout. Everything about the F-row is pretty standard to a modern keyboard. But what Northgate Omnikey did with their keyboards is what they kind of used an XT column. That was popularized with like the IBM Model F XT and the IBM Model F AT. Instead of like your traditional F-row where it's on the top of the keyboard above your alpha cluster. So that was kind of their trademark thing. And that's kind of what makes this board a little bit different. But it's a pretty usable keyboard, to be completely honest. It's not weird like an old IBM Model F XT or something like the really old like IBM Beamspring keyboards. Like it's still a very familiar and very usable layout. This keyboard also uses a big-ass enter. And moves the backslash key just, it actually splits the right shift, where you can see the backslash key. When we get the keycaps on, we'll kind of explain how the layout kind of works on this keyboard, because it is really interesting. And again, Northgate Computer Systems is a really cool company. So they started building they were kind of a mail order computer building business back in the day. So when you ordered a computer through them, you also got a keyboard and you got a mouse with them. And their computers were good, but their computers are not what they are remembered for within like the vintage keyboarding community and just vintage computers. Like most people remember them for their keyboards. Like their keyboards became so popular eventually they just started selling the keyboards by themselves, and they started putting tools and devices on the keyboards so they could interface with other protocols. So one thing to note too, we're kind of lucky in our modern age of computing that like there's a lot of standardization in terms of the world of computers. So, for example, like if you're going to plug in your mouse, your keyboard, or any accessory into a modern computer, it's going to use USB. Like the USB protocol is really freaking awesome. Like it's literally used for pretty much everything in like small consumer electronics. But back in the day, there were a ton of different protocols. You had XT, AT, you had ADB, you had NEX, like, and there are bajillion other protocols. So oftentimes, like a keyboard couldn't communicate with a different computer that it wasn't built for. So you have to use like converters and different type of tinkering. So one thing that was cool about these keyboards is they actually came with like switches and components on the PCBs that allowed you to switch between some of the most popular protocols for computers, allowing you to use these with computers from other computer makers and manufacturers. So that's something that is really cool. So we're very fortunate in our modern world of computers that there is standardization for the most part. Like the USB standard is pretty awesome, especially in our modern world of computing. That like the fact that like everything uses USB for the most part is pretty awesome. Like be very thankful we don't have to have a bajillion different protocols on stuff, because that would be just kind of frustrating if I'm going to be completely honest. So that's something that is really cool, and there's a lot of cool history. And the thing is, Northgate Computer Systems would eventually go out of business, but the keyboard division of them would produce the versions of these Northgate Omnikeys all the way until like 2011. They were still making keyboards. So that's just kind of a testament to how well built these keyboards were, and how popular they were. So that is just something that is really cool. And again, within like vintage computing, in like just vintage keyboards, especially Alps, most people consider like these Northgate Omnikeys to be some of the best Alps boards ever made, which is really, really cool. Yeah, what's up, Song? Yeah, dude, I'm very so Song. Congratulations on winning the keyboard. We're gonna get it to you. I'll probably mail it by Friday. We'll mail it out to you. My only instructions, the keyboard is pretty much, I can show you, I'll send you instructions on how to, like, if you want to remap any keys. It also has RGB underglow. So I'll send you it's a plug and play app. Like, you can literally just load it into like Google Chrome or something, and you can customize the RGB. And if there's any keys you want to remap, my only instructions with the keyboard is the assembly that is in that keyboard, do not disassemble it. It's very particular. Those keycaps are really, really tight. So leave it as it is. If something ever goes wrong, you want something changed, just send it back to me, and then we can change or fix anything you want. That keyboard's been 100% like endurance tested, so like you shouldn't have any issues with it. But yeah, don't make any modifications to it. Really, don't try to take it apart. It's just again, it's just you're getting these the switches in your keyboard, even though it looks brand new. The switches you get in your keyboard are from the 1990s, so they're 30-plus-year-old switches. So you really don't want to be messing with them. And again, as the keyboard is built, it's fine. But just if you start like tinkering with it or taking it away, if you start tinkering with it or whatnot, that's where things are going to get weird with it. So just do not take it apart. That is my only. If I can only give you one piece of instruction. Yeah, but overall, it's a really cool keyboard. And again, we're going to be giving away a Breaking Bad keyboard later this month. So if people are interested in a Breaking Bad keyboard, definitely be on the lookout for that, because that's going to be fun. We'll probably be doing that later this month. So, but yeah, this keyboard right here is, I can tell y'all when this keyboard was made. Let me pull up my master keyboard collection spreadsheet. So let me look up the keyboard spreadsheet. Yes, my keyboard collection is so massive. I had to get I had to make a spreadsheet to keep track of everything, because it's just kind of gotten insane. All right, so this particular keyboard, there is a date stamp on it. This was made on May 20th, 1991. Man, this keyboard's older than me. Yeah, so this keyboard is from 1991, May 20th, 1991. That is pretty sick, if I say so myself. So it's from the same decade I'm from. I'm from the 90s. So yeah. So yeah, that is kind of crazy. So yeah, Northgate Omnikey they started producing them in 1988, and they pretty much made them until about 2011, which is pretty cool. So the main family of Omnikeys that I'm collecting are from the late 1980s and like early to mid 90s, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so these are really cool keyboards, and again, we have some really cool projects with them coming up. So really cool keyboard. And then yeah, definitely later in the stream we'll definitely show off some of the work we did on the Apple boards, because we did get some really good headway on the Apple boards, because once we get the Omnikey project wrapped up, we'll start doing vintage Macintosh stuff, which will be super sick. So that's gonna be really cool. So alright, that one. So we're almost done with our numpad, and we'll move on to our navigation cluster on this board. But yeah, I'm really excited for this board, because like I said, this is one I don't have a lot of explicit experience with, because when I got this board, I actually never built it before rebuilding it, and I actually never really used these switches, so I'm really excited for these switches. Okay, yeah, this navigation cluster right here is kind of weird, so we'll get that one all fixed. So yeah, there we go. Cool. Got some good ones right there. So yeah, we're doing our arrow cluster right now. So we're just getting this one going. So we've done a lot of really good work on this keyboard, getting everything fixed up. So all these switches have been tested. I did test them with the multimeter before we kind of put them inside this particular board. Yeah, so I can kind of tell you. So with Alps, they're very expensive. On the more affordable Alps are going to be about $1 to $1.50 a switch, and then they just kind of go up from there. So like outside of the 3 outlier Alps, which are going to be like $20, $30+ a switch, like neon green tactile Alps, amber linear Alps, and brown linear Alps, those switches are absurdly and ridiculously expensive and absurdly rare. Like, to kit out a board with like neon greens, amber linears, you're talking like a small car loan, like $2,000-$3,000 plus. So I don't bother with those 3 switches, just because that I'm not taking a car loan out for switches. That's ridiculous. But the most expensive switches I have are going to be brown Alps and amber Alps. Those are going to be about $5 to $6 a switch. The most popular, and I think the best Alps switch are blue Alps. You're going to be looking, I'd say, $2 to $3 a switch for blue Alps, which are amazing. Like, blue Alps are in this board right here, and I freaking love them. Let me unplug my keyboard in. Like, I freaking love blue Alps. Like, by far my favorite switch. I love them. Like, if I could put blue Alps in every board, I would, but that would be boring. And then you have, like, orange Alps, salmon Alps, but also Alps, the best Alps are going to be your clicky or your tactile. Linear Alps are fine. Like, you have green Alps, which are the most common linear. You have cream Alps and then yellow Alps. Those are your kind of your 3 linears. But, like, tactile Alps, there's a truckload of them. There's 3 clicky Alps. Blue Alps are the best, ambers being the most expensive. And then you have white Alps, which are really, really good. White Alps are awesome because they get you to, like, 80 to 90% of the way to, like, blue Alps without, like, the blue Alps price. So you can get white Alps for, like, $1 a switch, or even less sometimes, depending on what you can do. So that's, but yeah, they do get, depending on what Alp switch you want, they're going to get more expensive. Like most of my client builds most people want tactile or linears, believe it or not. So I've done the Alp switches I built the most in client builds have been green linear Alps and orange tactile Alps. Orange Alps are some of my favorites. I mean, 3 of my vintage Apple boards have orange Alps, and then we're building one of the Omnikeys with orange Alps. So one of my favorite tactile Alps, and they're really affordable, and you can find orange Alps relatively easy. But again, it just depends on what you want. And again, I do client commissions of Alps, and essentially what I charge is I do cost of parts, and that's going to vary depending if you want what size keyboard you want, what type of keyboard we're building, and also the type of switch and what keycaps you want. And again, we'll price it out, and I just charge you what it costs me to get those parts, and then I do a commission fee, because putting the work into building these boards is a lot. There is a metric crap. There are dozens and dozens of hours in each of these boards that I do. And that time, my time is worth something. So I just, depending on how complex and how much work we got to put into the switches and building the board and restoring parts or acquiring parts, that's going to determine my commission fee. And it's usually, I'd say, between $100 to about $200 I charge people. I'm not trying to rip you off. It's just let you know, like, Alps are a lot of work and they're expensive. Especially when you do a build all in, it gets pretty expensive. So that's just the thing I tell people. And also, too, when I do client builds, a lot of these parts we have to have custom made. Our plates we have to have custom made because Alps take their own plate. We have to source a PCB. And again, I have access to PCBs, but it takes time to get those. Acquiring keycaps is going to be another thing. We're very limited on keycaps because Alps take their own keycaps and whatnot. And again, it's just also going to what's going to determine time is if you want a modern keyboard that we got to source, or you have a vintage keyboard that you want restored. So again, I just restored some Apple keyboards for a guy over in Japan. So it just takes time, and I always tell people if you do a commission with me, be ready to wait 1 to 2 months. Maybe sometimes even longer, because it just takes time to do everything. So I just tell I've been very fortunate with the clients I've worked with that they're very awesome and very patient. But that's just the thing with Alps. It takes a lot of time to do these properly. These are not builds you want to be rushing. So I want to look at something really quick. Okay. Just making sure those came in really good. Yep. Darn. Give me a second. That tip's getting pretty disgusting. So yeah, Alps are a lot of work. So that's just one thing I tell people is just be prepared to wait and for it to take time. That's just the thing about Alps. But yeah, there are a lot of. But I also tell people too, like, the end result is worth it when you get these boards. Every person I've done a build for has been genuinely happy with the result. And again, seeing people's reactions at keyboard meetups when they try my builds is just really rewarding for me. Because again, that's just kind of gratification and validation of like the work I do with Alps. And again, I've had people see my stuff I posted online, and it either inspires them to make their own build or even reach out to me for a commission. So it's a really fun part of the hobby I get to do, and I love doing it. Yeah, so it's been really cool. It's been a really fun journey. And one thing that's also really cool too, I don't know if I mentioned on this stream yet, but I did mention it on Discord and also my Instagram page. So over the weekend, we finally became affiliates here on Twitch. So one thing that is really cool is we are finally being able to be monetized here on Twitch, which is really cool. I've done sponsored streams already on Twitch, but that was like someone sending me something or like with the commissions, me getting paid to do those builds. But being able to like earn some monetization from the viewership we get here on Twitch has been really, really awesome. So I do just want to thank everyone who tunes in, anyone who is subscribed or joins us on Discord or follows us on any of our social pages. Like, again, just a really big thank you to everyone who helps make that possible. Like because of all of you, again, we got affiliate status. And again, I'm not saying like being an affiliate and the little monetization we get's gonna make me replace my day job or supplement the income from that, but like it's really cool to kind of get into that status of where we can be monetized, even if it is a very, very small amount. And that's possible because of people on the internet like all of you. So again, huge thank you, and I can't express how grateful I am for everyone who supports the weird crap that we do here and just is here to have fun and learn about keyboards and metal rectangles. So big thank you and shout out to everyone who tunes in, whether you're a person who tunes in for like a minute or you're someone who's on here every stream with us, which is really cool. So again, huge thank you to everyone. So we're getting these ones in here. Cool, that one's looking good. Yeah, metal and plastic rectangles, pretty much. No, Alps basically it's the same concept. Like, there's a spring, there's a slider, the top housing, a bottom housing. You have a switch plate that, like, the slider interacts with to register the signal. Like, they're built the same, but they're slightly different. Like, they're not one-to-one recreations of Cherry MX. Like, I mean, the cool thing about Alps, like, back in the day, Alps, background on Alps and their history. Alps were produced by a Japanese country. No, Schuster, I love sharing the history of Alps. It's really cool. So, Alps were produced by a company called Alps Electric. They're based in Japan, and they started producing variants of their Alps switches in the late 1970s, and then those switches were produced all the way until the early 2000s. And during that time period, especially in the 80s and like the 1990s, Alps were the direct competitor to Cherry MX back in the day. Alps had tech contracts with like some of the giants of their day in the 80s and 90s, like IBM had keyboards that were built with Alps switches, Apple computers, HP, like Northgate computer systems, and many other people. Acer even built keyboards with these. So like there were a ton of massive players within the game who were building their keyboards with Alps switches. And again, Cherry had contracts with those companies as well. I mean, you'll find like keyboards from some of these same companies with Alps switches as well. But again, they were the direct competitor. But by the time we get to the mid to late 90s, especially by the early 2000s, things are shifting in the market. In the 80s, particularly in the 80s, people were okay with loud keyboards. Most people who grew up in like the 60s and 70s grew up working on typewriters, and typewriters are all mechanical and they're very, very loud. But by the time we get to the 90s, there's a shift in the users who are using computers. People want keyboards that are a lot quieter. Oh yeah, Next, Wang, FM Towns, and other ones. But things started changing. People wanted quieter keyboards, and they also wanted keyboards that were more cost-effective. So that's where we see the rise of rubber dome keyboards. Toshiba even built... Fujitsu is awesome too. There are a ton of major manufacturers, which is really cool. So one thing that's really cool about it is people started shifting. And another thing too about these keyboards, like these were everywhere. They were in businesses, they were in schools, government offices, hospitals. And again, people who buy these keyboards, especially like business clients, they buy these keyboards in bulk for their employees in their offices. And you want a cost-effective product. Like these keyboards are very, very expensive, even back in the day. But you could buy, for like one of these, you could buy maybe like 2 or 3 rubber dome membrane keyboards that are really cheap and really quiet, and that'll make your employees happy. So, that's something that is really interesting. So by the time we get to the late 90s, early 2000s, Alps is basically getting to the point where their keyboard business is no longer profitable or viable. So what Alps Electric does in the early 2000s is they sell off their keyboard division, and they strictly focus on industrial and enterprise electronics. So Alps Electric is still around. They still produce stuff, but you're not going to see them in the consumer electronics space. You're not going to see any of their components in like stuff that you buy at like Best Buy or like Micro Center. They're mainly tailoring their stuff and making stuff for enterprise and industrial applications. Now, the interesting thing is the company that bought the licensing and tooling for Alps switches is a Canadian-based company called Matthias. And Matthias still produces Alps keyboards and Alps switches. Now, their Alps stuff is based on a really late version of Alps switches, which are called simplified Alps. They're kind of inferior and not as good as like OG or what we call complicated Alps. But they're still fine. Like Matthias switches are cool. They get you, I'd say, like 70 to 80% of the way to like OG Alps without all like the restoration work and like harvesting, which is really cool. But yeah, Alps is really interesting. So one thing about these switches, if people want to get into Alps, like they don't make these anymore. These keyboards haven't been made since the early 2000s or the 1990s. So the only way to get like OG proper Alps is you have to find an old keyboard. Like one of the easiest keyboards to get a hold of are like old Apple extended keyboards or like old Dell AT101 keyboards. Like you can find those for like less than $100, in some case less than $50 if you're really smart searching. If you get really lucky, you could go to like old electronics recycling warehouses or like Goodwill or thrift shops. You may find these keyboards. It still happens. I actually restored a keyboard for a guy locally. He had a full-size white Alps clicky keyboard. He paid $1 for at a thrift shop. And I'm like, dude, why can't I find crap like that? So it's really cool. So yeah, you still find gems. But here's the kind of sad thing too about these old keyboards. Like back in the 90s, early 2000s, when they were getting rid of these keyboards in a lot of places, they were throwing these keyboards away by the barrel load. Like the vast majority of these Alps keyboards were destroyed and sold for scrap. So like not a lot of these were saved. Again, there's still a lot of them out there, but the vast majority of these were destroyed, sadly. They were seen as e-waste back in the day. No one thought to save these keyboards. And I've been talking to people who are older than me, who have been around tech a long time. And they were saying, like, there was this one user I was talking with. He said in the 90s, at the university he was working at the time, like, you couldn't give away Alps keyboards. He said they threw away Alps keyboards by, like, the dumpster load. Like, they were seen as completely worthless. And I see those old pictures of, like, Alps keyboards being thrown away by literally, like, the frickin' pallet. And I'm like, that breaks my frickin' heart that all those were just sent to the scrapyard and destroyed. So... yeah, again, Alps are still relatively affordable to get into, but it's not always going to be like that. Maybe 30 years from now, Alps keyboards are going to be really hard to get a hold of. You just kind of never know. So that's why I like to tell people, like, get into it now. Like, again, you can get into a vintage Alps keyboard for less than $100. And you can have a lot of fun and learn a lot about this old tech, which is really cool. So I just want to turn my thing off and just kind of look at my soldering job so far. But yeah, we're looking pretty good there. So yeah, we got our numpad, we got our navigation and home cluster there, which is really nice. So, ooh, we had some Kajita, you worked at Fujitsu back in the day. Oh, that's sick, dude. That's super cool. That is super cool. Yeah, these old companies are really sick. So, all right, so we're gonna keep it going. So now we're gonna move over and we're gonna do our F column over here, and then we'll kind of move on to the rest of our alpha cluster. So we're just gonna get a little more of our solder lead going. Yeah, we're making good progress on this board. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool history with these old boards. And again, I just love the vintage side of the hobby, and I wish more people were into vintage keyboards. They're really fun. Again, I still love my modern Cherry MX keyboards and like my Topera stuff. But like, I mean, if you look behind me, I have the IBM Battle Cruiser, which is super sick. So that's a IBM Model M Battle Cruiser. So it's the later M122. It's slightly smaller than like the Battleship. I do have 2 IBM Battleships in my frickin' closet that will eventually get restored. I have other keyboard restoration projects I want to do right now that are kind of taking priority. So once I get through these Alps rebuilds, we'll definitely get to the IBM stuff, because I also have an IBM Model FXT that needs to be rebuilt eventually. So we'll definitely get that one rebuilt too. So the IBM Model F, I'm waiting on parts to come for it. I had to order inner foam for the board and an extra keycap, and then the bottom case, which is made out of steel. I had to get that professionally Cerakoted. I tried to refinish it myself, but it was so far gone. Like, it had to get professionally recoated. So yeah, a lot of good stuff. Yeah, we're rebuilding this vintage board here, so I'm really, really looking forward to getting this one done. So, but yeah, this is looking really good. So let's do this next portion of the XT column. Yeah, this is a really cool board. Honestly, depending on how we are, we're making really good time on this board. Who knows? If we have enough time, if we're not on here too long, we might do the orange Alps one. We'll see. We'll just kind of see where we are in time. I'm taking my sweet time, talking, just BSing with people, so you're definitely having a good time. Oh, dude, Model Fs are like freaking crazy, dude. I love those boards. My Model FXT is just so sick. I mean, let me grab the Model F. I can grab the parts of the Model FXT we have refinished, so I can show you those. Give me a second. All right. Let me grab the Model F stuff. Yeah. Alright, friends. Well, let me show you all of these. Let me show you some of the Model F stuff. Alright, who we got? We got Shoney's. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Doc? What's up? So let me show you the IBM Model F stuff I have. So I'll kind of show you what we actually have done work off camera with the Model F. So essentially what we did, we cleaned up the PCB. So that's what a Model F PCB. It's an electrocapacitive buckling spring keyboard, which is really cool. And we had to refinish the backplate. These are known for like their heat-treated rainbow color backplates. This one was rusted to all hell. So we had to refinish. I had to sand it down. And again, there's no more rainbow finish, but it is this very nice flat black color, which looks really clean and really nice. And then we also redid the barrel plate on this board. So the barrel plate was also rusted to all hell. So we have our barrel plate, which is really, really nicely cleaned up. So that's going to be really sick. That came out really nice. And then I'll grab the top case, which also cleaned up fantastic. So let me grab the top case for our Model F. So our Model F case looks really, really good. So here's our IBM Model F XT top case. So this cleaned up gorgeous. That badge looks so sick. IBM personal computer. So yeah, this cleaned up really nice. And yeah, it's awesome. So this is a really, really cool board. I think it looks really sweet. So yeah, we'll definitely get the Model F XT built when all the parts come in. Again, that's gonna take time, unfortunately. So we're just kind of waiting for parts to come in for that board. So once those parts come in, we'll definitely do that build and get everything done on that one. So yeah, so we're looking really, really nice on this board. So we'll put the Model F stuff back for right now. So yeah, good stuff on that model. Oh yeah, dude, I love the old IBM stuff. I mean, here, I'll pull up the Battleship too. I mean, my Battle Cruiser. Just to kind of show you this one. This one's been fully restored and bolt modded. There's no more work I got to do to this one. I mean, eventually I do want to modify the layout, but this board is so sick. Like, this Battle Cruiser is fully restored. Feels like a freaking dream. I do want to ANSI mod it. So I want to eventually, I'll have to re-tear it down when we get to it in the future, but I want to put a full left shift because I need a full left shift to type. I want to ANSI enter. I want the / key put back here, and I want a full numpad with the enter and the plus over here. But really sick keyboard. I freaking love this thing. Like, absolutely love that keyboard. Let me just put the cable back behind the board it's on, just so I can cleanly display it. But yeah, the Battlecruiser, really cool board. Freaking love that keyboard. So it's really sick. I mean, I'll grab one of the battleships. So we have two of them. Where's the good one? There we go. Yeah, so I do have I'll grab one of the battleships. One of them's for parts. So when we get to the battleship project, we're only building one of them. But here's one of the battleship. It's so freaking big, it won't even fit in the damn camera angle. Let me move something so you guys can see. We're taking a little solder break right now. Let me move this really quick. Okay. We have the battleship right here. So this thing is in it's in okay shape. I mean, it's disgusting, but yeah, this is a Model M battleship. It's so sick. It's so freaking massive. Like, this keyboard is so awesome. I love this thing. So yeah, it definitely needs a lot of work. And like, it needs a bolt mod. I have the adapter for it to connect it to USB and whatnot. But like, yeah, this thing is really cool. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a creature of habit. I want an ANSI enter. I don't like ISO at all. So, but yeah, this is a really cool keyboard. But as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. I mean, it'll clean up really good. Like, it'll clean up like my Battlecruiser or my Model F. But yeah, it's gonna be really cool. So yeah, that's another cool project we got in the future. That one's not happening for a while because the priority is the Alps builds, and those are gonna take a while. So maybe the next maybe like April, May, we will get to the battleship. But we'll see. Yeah. So let's get back to this. Let's get back to soldering, and then yeah, we'll kind of go from there. So let's get going. So all right. So let's get these ones soldered in. All right. And then this one. Awesome. All right, yeah, but a lot of really cool stuff coming up. Oh yeah, dude, the square badge on the old, I love the silver square badge on the IBM stuff, whether it was on the old Model Fs or the Model Ms. Like, I love that silver square badge. It's so iconic. It's just so quintessentially IBM. I love their stuff. So, and again, IBM, I think they're not really in the consumer electronics game anymore. I mean, again, like, IBM has mostly switched to from being a software company. I mean, IBM still does stuff. But they're not like, at least especially in the modern age of technology, they're not like big like Meta or like Nvidia or like AMD or Intel. But IBM is still pretty important, like especially historically within computing. And again, like there's no I mean, the one thing is, I mean, they made probably the most significant in terms of keyboards. The Model M is the most important keyboard probably ever made. Because the layout on the Model M is the layout we still use today. Like, over 40 years later, that is the standard for keyboards today. And that's in everywhere on the planet. Anywhere where you go, where people are using computers or using keyboards, they are using the 101 layout that IBM developed pretty much back in the day. So that is really significant. I don't actually have an actual Model M in my collection. It's on my to-do list of stuff to get. I do have a Model M with the Battlecruiser and the Battleship, but an actual like 101 key Model M, I actually don't have one. There's been other projects I want to do and that I got to do, so I want to focus on finishing those, and then eventually I'll get a Model M. Again, thankfully they're really common, and you can get a Model M for like $50 online. So again, they're not hard to get a hold of. They are not rare. If someone tells you an IBM Model M is rare, like, it's not. Yeah, Perry, I mean, I'm very particular. I want one of the earlier silver badge, like metal silver badge, like this badge that's on my Model F and my Battleship Model M's, and those are a little more expensive. Like, you can get like the blue badged ones or like the gray badged ones for like less than 100, but I know I've seen the silver badge ones I've seen go for like 150, 200. So like that's the one I want. I'm not in a rush to get it, but that's like the earlier one I want. I also would love an IBM SSK. That's the TKL version of the IBM Model M, and those are actually rare. Those are like $500-600. in the standard beige. If you want an industrial gray one, you're talking much more. You're probably going to talking probably over $1,000, but like I just want a standard beige SSK as well eventually. But again, they're genuinely rare. And again, I'm not spending that kind of money on an IBM board just yet. And also eventually too, I love an IBM beam spring board. Dude, I mean, SSKs I kind of get. IBM prices being crazy, like an industrial grade Model M, okay, that's kind of insane. But like SSKs, I get the price point because they didn't sell a lot of them. They weren't popular. People wanted a number pad back in the day. So they didn't sell a lot of them. And they were only really for specific... Oh, dude, the Unsaver, I know. I'm aware of the Unsaver. That's what Pontus based his 21XX off of. Oh, I know. Those are legitimately insane. You're talking, what, $2-3 grand for one of those? And then I know some of the beam spring stuff goes for, like, absurd amounts of money. So, oh, yeah, I know. Some vintage IBM stuff goes for a lot of money, and they're very, very expensive. So, but yeah, I mean, the FXT project will be really cool. We'll definitely build the FXT once we get all the parts in. Once the parts come in, even if we're in the middle of Alps rebuild, we'll definitely take time to rebuild that board on stream. Because that board is just so different, especially if you're a person who only really comes from like Cherry MX stuff. It's gonna be really unusual. I mean, let me just pull the FXT really quick. Like, this is such a different PCB. Like, when we get to this board and we actually build it and people show how it's built, this is a very differently built keyboard and uses a very different technology compared to Alps or even Cherry MX. Again, this probably has more in common with like Topre or EC in terms of how it built. I mean, this is an electrocapacitive keyboard. Again, it doesn't use rubber domes like Topre, but it uses buckling springs for the electrocapacitive functionality. So again, it's really interesting. And again, I have someone I'm going to be doing some Topre builds for, and they just got into Topre and they just have seen my stuff and they know I'm experienced in what I do. So they're going to have me do some Topre builds for them. And it was just kind of fun, just kind of educating them on Topre and showing them like how different of a system that Topre is compared to like something like Cherry MX or even Alps. Like electrocapacitive keyboards are awesome. Like whether you're talking like Topre or like old IBM Model F stuff, like there's a lot of those are like really cool keyboards. I mean, I have a few Topre boards. I have a Class 80 and a 0413 from MM Studio that I have built Topre. I also have my Agar Mini, which is built with Topre, which is super sick. So we have a good selection of stuff. But overall, I think it's I like having a bunch of different selections. So I think in my collection, we have Cherry MX, we have Alps, we have Hall Effect, we have Buckling Spring, we have Electrocapacitive Buckling Spring, and we have Hall Effect. I am missing Beam Spring. I would love Beam Spring eventually. But Beam Spring is very, very expensive. So, yeah, we'll get into that. Some of those cooler vintage ones. I do want to get into Space Invaders. We're going to be getting a Seal 80 in the future for review. And, yeah, we're definitely going to be building that puppy out with Space Invaders, which is going to be so sick when we get it. Alright, that one's going good. Alright, so there are modifiers in our bottom keys, so we're just going to push them down and make sure everything is properly seated. So that's why I only do one pin at a time when I solder these boards, because again, sometimes there can be a small gap between the actual switch and the PCB. So I just do one pin and then I reflow the solder on that pin I did, and then I just push the pin down. The switch down. And that usually eliminates the gap. You'll hear a small clicking noise, and that's usually the switch filling in the gap between the bottom of the switch and the PCB. Okay, there we go. Pretty much, dude, Blue Cubes. I absolutely agree. That is a great way to look at that. Yeah, Topre is cool. And I think one thing I think is really cool with Topre also was for a long time, was a very niche and kind of enthusiast level thing. I mean, you always had people like Norbauer and Sip doing really cool stuff with electrocapacitive or clever. But I think the one thing that's been really cool with electrocapacitive Topre keyboards, I think what turned a lot of people off was the fact you're so limited on keycaps. Like, electrocapacitive, like, Topre pattern keycaps are very hard. You're very limited. And I think, like, the one thing I think is going to help bring electrocapacitive and Topre to the masses is the Dynacap project through Omnitype and Clever. I think that's such a cool project because the purpose and intention of that project was to bring proper Cherry MX keycap compatibility to Topre and electrocapacitive keyboards. Because again, for a long time, what people would do to customize their Topre builds is they would have like sliders custom made that has the Cherry MX mount inside them. The problem is there would be interference with a lot of the popular Cherry MX keycap sets, particularly most infamously with GMK keycaps. The way GMK keycaps are injection molded, again, they don't. They didn't. There's a lot of interference with Topre housings, so it was really discouraged to use GMK keycaps for a very long time. And also over time, it would damage the GMK keycaps, and those are expensive keycaps. You don't want those damaged. So a lot of people just really didn't use Cherry MX keycaps, or there were very specific, less popular types of Cherry MX keycaps that people would utilize on their boards. So the thing I find so interesting about the Dynacap project, they spent a long time like really building up a Topre system from the ground up that would have full Cherry MX keycap compatibility across pretty much every manufacturer you could imagine. Whether it's someone like well-known like GMK or like a no-name brand from China, that was kind of like their big thing. And it's been pretty good. They ran R1 and they're working on R2 right now. There were a couple quirks within R1, but they said for R2 those quirks should be worked out. But the quirks with R1 are very, very small. The quirks that they had early on was there was a slight issue with the stabilizers, and Dynacap released a very simple fix that people could do to fix the stabs. And then the other thing people reported, they're really, really scratchy. Like, Topre switches can be scratchy. You can fix that with lube, but even after lubing, they were still pretty scratchy. So what Clever said, they fully fixed the stabilizer thing, and what they did for the housings is they've done a bunch of polishing on the injection molds to make sure that they're really, really smooth to kind of prevent the scratchiness. So, and again, they're currently manufacturing R2 of Dynacap with those slight adjustments, and that should fix the kind of the two quirks that people kind of ran into. It didn't mean the Dynacap R1 kits were unusable. It was just probably more slight annoyances than anything. So I kind of held off getting Dynacap because I know when you launch a product, especially something so new like that, there are going to be hiccups regardless of how well you design that product. So I'm glad they're working out the quirks. And then when R2 of Dynacap launches, I have 3 boards that are waiting on Dynacap parts, and I'll be ordering 3 Dynacap kits for those boards so we can get those built. So that's going to be really cool. So I'm really happy. And one thing that was super cool, I got to meet Clever and the team from Dynacap and Omnitype at KeyBlife back in September. And I had talked and interacted with Clever on like Discord and Reddit. But it was kind of nice to meet Clever in person. He's a genuinely nice guy. And he has a really good head on his shoulders in terms of how he approaches design and approaches the hobby. And like if you want some really cool designs, Clever's boards are awesome. Like if you want like to check out a really cool designer, you can definitely check out his Discord. And also the Dynacap Discord. You can kind of learn more about what they do and what Clever and his team do. Because they do some genuinely cool stuff. So, alright folks, we have pretty much everything done except for our number row and our main alpha cluster. We have all of our modifiers, our F column, home and navigation cluster, and then also our numpad is done. So that's really good. So now we're basically going to go to our last kind of area. And like I said, we did bridge this switch, and then we also did do this switch in the number and alpha cluster because, again, this one had a partially disappeared pad. Thankfully, we didn't have to bridge it. We were able to get enough solder, and of course, we had to bridge this switch, but these 2 switches work just fine. So, yeah, so we did some good work right there. So those are awesome. So, awesome. Let's keep it going, friends. So let's go to our number row now. getting that going, folks. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff we can kind of talk about. So yeah, it's coming along, folks. And again, we got a lot of cool projects coming up in the future. So definitely be on the lookout, especially when we get into the Macintosh stuff. Like, that's some of my favorite. I love the Omnikeys, but my Macintosh boards have a really special place in my heart for my collection. I love vintage Apple stuff, and I have a near complete collection of Apple Alps boards. I'm just missing one. I'm missing a Salmon Alps Apple II GS keyboard, which has been eluding me for a while, but I'll track one down eventually. But minus that keyboard, we have pretty much a complete collection of pretty much the best, from the time period when Apple made the best keyboards they've ever produced to date. Because again, I'm not a Mac hater. I mean, I like Apple. I like what they do. I'm not a Mac guy, but if you buy a Macintosh keyboard today, a Macintosh computer, especially like a desktop, throw the keyboard in the trash and get yourself a proper keyboard. Like, the keyboards that come with like the iMacs or like the Mac Studios, those things are garbage. Like, do not bother with those keyboards. You might as well just type on a laptop. If you're gonna go like proper desktop, get yourself a proper keyboard. That's my only thing. But pretty much other than that, anything that Apple makes computer-wise is fine. Like, especially Apple Silicon especially has gotten really, really good as of recent. So that's something too. Like, because Apple doesn't use Intel chips anymore. They haven't used them in a while. And their processors are probably on par with what AMD and Intel make, which is pretty impressive. So that's something that is just kind of cool with Apple right now. Alright. Cool. Alright, let's do that number row really quick. Just wipe off this tip right here. So, we're getting there, folks. We are getting there. We're making good time. So, we are making really good time on this keyboard, so. Cool. So almost done with our number row. And then we're going to start testing this thing really soon. We'll get all these switches done. Cool. Alright, we're going to move on to now our alpha cluster. We just got 3 more rows of switches we got to do. So, making good progress on this board, if I'm not going to lie. So, yeah, looking really good. So, alright, eyes and hive. Thank you, sir. Alright, let's get going. Alright. Ah, damn, I got a bent pin here. Oops. Alright, we'll fix that. Give it a second. Got a switch with a bent pin. We'll fix that. Darn. That's why we go nice and slow. Glad I didn't solder that, because that would have sucked trying to fix that. I really don't want to get out the solder gun. I hate working with that tool. Those of you who were on stream last week, we had to desolder some switches on the board just because the switch plates were faulty. And what was it? We had the Hacko got clogged, and I tried to fix the nozzle, and I struggled for like 15 minutes trying to fix the nozzle, and I just said, screw it, this nozzle's toast. So, I ordered nozzles, and I have a spare nozzle now, so if that happens again, it's not going to stop us from working, because we'll have a spare nozzle. Okay. Alright, let's take a quick breather. We got to pull this switch out. So we're 3 and this one. Okay. All right, this switch I bent a pin. So I gotta unbend that pin. So let's pull this switch out. Oh man, right here. Cool. Let's just double check it really quick. Make sure it detects on the multimeter really quick. So we're just gonna do a quick little test of this puppy right here. All right, cool. That one still works, so I'll put it back in. Cool. All right. That should do it. Let's flip her around. Yep, we're good. All right, let's turn that back on. Cool. All right, let's put that to the side. All right, let's start seating these next set of switches. We'll kind of go from there. Cool. Coming along here. Alright, let's do this next portion of this row. And we'll have 2 more rows left, and then we're going to kind of see where we are for getting this build done. So once we get these switches soldered in, then we'll start working on testing this board. Once we get everything tested, then we should be good. But we'll kind of see. So we're making some good progress. Yeah, so we're almost done with this row. Cool. All right, we got 2 more rows left. So that's going pretty good. So let's start doing... Alright, almost there. Cool. Seat these switches and we'll kind of go from there. Oh man, that was bad. Not in there. Alright, let me just get a little more solder lead on this thing. Yeah, coming along, folks. But yeah, I'm really excited to see how this board shapes up. Because I really want to hear how this one sounds and feels. Because I have no experience at Pine Black Alps. So this is a board I've genuinely been excited for. Especially like properly restored and like lube Pine Blacks in one of the best Alps keyboards like ever. Alright, last row, folks. We are on the home stretch of soldering. Hopefully. And then once we get all these switches soldered in, we'll have to test them. We should be pretty good. I did thoroughly test these switches, but if we do have any faulty switches or switches that are acting weird or chattering, we'll definitely make adjustments and swap them. Awesome. So let's just properly seat these, and then we'll be good. Cool. Alright, those are properly seated. And then we are almost there, friends. So we're just going to start lubing these switches. I mean, not lubing, we'll start testing them. Sorry, we've already lubed these damn things. Also, lubing Alps takes for frickin' ever. If any of you have experience like lubing Cherry MX switches, it takes about as long or longer to do these damn switches. Especially if you don't have switches for like a big board like this. There's 102 switches in here. It took frickin' forever to lube these. So, several hours. Alright, very last switch, everybody. Alright, we are happy, everybody. Alright. Let's turn that off. Just powering down the soldering iron, the solder fan. Now I can hear myself now. Look at that. Alright, stick that to the side. Alright, friends. Let me just wind up my solder lead. And yeah, let's flip this over and let's start testing this baby. So, yeah, there you go. Look at that. That is an assembly of Pine Black Alps, everybody. Oh man, I can't wait to see how these feel and also sound. So let me grab the bottom case and we're gonna insert this in. Okay, let me move my little foam pad and let's get this thing moved in. That bottom case is like a little tank. Alright, there we go. Let's plug her in. Alright. So, I need to grab a cable. Grab my PS2 cable. We wrap PS2 on these puppies. So, let's unplug the 102. The gold badge Omnikey. And let's get this one plugged in. Okay, we got the PS2 plugged in. And then we're going to plug in this. Alright, I already see some good signs of life on this board. So we are going to get VIA opened up because we want to test these boards. All right, we're going to go to screen share, folks. So we're going to set up our screen share. I'm going to go full screen there. And we are going to transition. All right. There we go, friends. So we are in our VIA, everybody. So that's looking pretty good. So hello, friends. So we're going to start testing these switches. So, all right. Numlock works good. So and my lights are coming on, so that's good. I did test these. So we're going through our number pad first. Good, and that key registers over there. That's fine. All right, enter. Good. Yeah, we're just thoroughly testing. I just want to make sure everything registers good. So number pad is good. So now we're going to go over to our navigation and our home cluster. So cool. All right, arrows are good. So that's good. That's a very good sign. Let's go to our home cluster. Pause is good. Scroll lock is good, and scroll lock light comes on. Our print screen is solid, so that's good. Now we're going to go over to our F cluster. So we're going to do our F column. Cool. So everything. Now we're just gonna check our main alpha and numbers cluster. Backspace is good. Enter. Right shift. Backslash. Caps lock is good, and caps lock light comes on. Left shift is good. Left control. That's good. Control. That's good. All right, let's check our numbers. Yeah, we're having very good success with this. I don't think we're going to have any desoldering here. Yeah, we are looking really good. Looking good so far. This is really good. It's probably the best I've ever had. I've never had a board go through and have them all. Yeah, that multimeter has definitely been game-changing. Alright, there's a couple things I noticed. I think there's a couple switches I forgot to put the tactile leaf. So my F2 switch, yeah, there's no, that's a linear switch. I need to put a tactile leaf, and I think it's number 8. Yeah, number 8 and F2, I did not put the tactile leaf in. I think I forgot to do that, because those are basically linear. So we are going to transition away. Alright, hold up. Alright, there we go, friends. Dude, honestly, Blue Cubes, we got really lucky. We don't have to swap any switch plates. If anything, we just have to put a couple tactile leaves in here. So we're going to unplug this board. and unplug our PS2 cable. And we're just literally have to put in some tactile leaves. I gotta put 2 tactile leaves and some switches, which is honestly pretty good, all things considered. So, yeah, Blue Cubes. I think that is the first ever keyboard I've not had to replace, desolder switches. So, yeah, multimeter. Figuring out how to use the multimeter definitely been a game changer for how we build Alps. So let's swap out. Let's put in those tactile leaves really quick. So let me get my tactile leaf parts. I gotta find my pine blacks. Here we go. So that's what we're gonna do first. So springs. Here we go. So yeah. So let's just get a couple tactile leaves. Those are 2 linear switches for sure. Did not put tactile leaves in. So we're gonna get to see a really cool feature of. I don't know, dude. I mean, I'll tell you, like, when you build Alp switches in mass like me, trust me, they just kind of all blur together. So, yeah. So it's F2, and then I think it's, yeah, number 8 right here. So let's do number 8, because it's, yep, no tactile leaf. You can see there's absolutely no little silver thing in there. There's no tactile leaf. I don't know how the hell I forgot that. I mean, like I said, they kind of blur together because I do these. I will sit at my desk for like hours at a time, like putting together and like lubing Alp switches. So trust me, they all just kind of blur together, and it's very easy to miss something. So, all right, that one has a tactile leaf. So let's just put that back in there. Yep, that's perfect. And then we'll do F2. And then we'll pretty much be ready to start. We'll be ready to start stabs. So not too bad. And yep, missed tactile leaf. I don't know how I missed that, but hey, everyone makes mistakes. It's okay. Yeah, that's really funny, though. But it also tells you how experienced I am with switches, too, because I can tell the difference between my linears and my tactiles. Yeah, you missed the giveaway. So, again, if you go to the giveaways channel, the giveaway bot announced who our winner was. Again, it was a raffle, but we will be doing another giveaway. We're going to be giving away a Test 65. But funny thing, the winner of the keyboard, the Transition Lite, was the boyfriend of my girlfriend. So, sorry. Like, God, that sounded awful. Let me rephrase my English. I can't do English. My younger sister's boyfriend joined the giveaway, and he won the keyboard. And he's local to us here in Los Angeles. So, it's nice. I don't have to pay. Shipping's going to be dirt cheap. Yeah, sorry, Parrot. I can't do English, my man. I'm sorry. Again, my younger sister's boyfriend won the keyboard. So, that was not rigged. Again, the bot literally did the giveaway. So, it just, by coincidence, he's the one who won. Basically free shipping. Yeah, Parrot. Yeah, basically free shipping. It's going to cost me like less than $10 to mail it to him versus if I... Yeah, it's basically free shipping, which is, I'm like, okay, cool. So, but we're going to be giving away a Test 65. So I'm going to be working with Divinity, who made this board. So be on the lookout. We'll probably do this giveaway in March. But this is a custom Test 65 that's themed to the TV show Breaking Bad. So please be on the lookout. I know, Fade. I can't do English, my man. It's awful. I know. I can't do English. It's been a long day, everybody. It was a long day at work. It's good, though. But yeah, so we're going to be giving this away in March. So just kind of be on the lookout for this. We're going to partner with Divinity to give this keyboard away. So yeah, really cool. And again, that won't be the last of our giveaways. I'm working on some cool stuff in the future. We're definitely going to be giving away some like Cherry MX keycaps and other stuff. So again, trust me, the giveaways are not going anywhere. We're going to continue to do more. Oh yeah, it's so funny, dude. Again, English is super funny, my man. Yeah, that'll be a really cool board. It's fully soldered in, so it's not hot swap, so it's fully adjusted. So you can't really adjust it. So folks, we're gonna move on to stabilizers now. So let me get our keycaps and also our stab parts out for this build. Ow, my elbow. Actually, yeah, let me move some stuff. Let me move some of my soldering equipment out of the way. Give me a quick second, everybody. I'm just gonna clean out my workspace, so just it's a little bit easier for us to kind of work. Keycap puller, that crap. Put that away. Yeah, that's fine. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to put some of the tools away. We're done with the multimeter. We're done with the switch parts. Give me a second. I'm just cleaning up a little bit just so I have a little bit more room. Again, I only have so much area on my workbench. I mean, at my desk to do the stuff, so. There we go. Cool. There we go. I got a little bit more room now. All right, we're going to dump these keycaps out of here. So, yeah, these are a little bit yellowed. I don't care, so it's fine. And then we got our stabilizer parts here. So, see how that goes. Awesome. Cool. Throw those to the side. Getting close, everybody. Getting close. All right, let's get our stabilized keycap. So we have our left shift. We have our big ass enter. We got our space bar. Where the heck's my number pad enter? We got 4 of them. My backspace, my 0, my numpad, and then where's my backspace? Where are you, backspace? Where the heck are you? You're in here somewhere. Oh, I swear to God, if I lost the backspace, I'm gonna throw my shoe or something. Oh, we gotta remap this board. That's fun. Okay, where are you? There you are, backspace. So, all right, there's our keys. There's our stabilized keys. So let's start off with our our space bar. That's the one I like starting off with first because that just makes life a little bit easier. Alps space bars are kind of a pain in the ass. So we're definitely going to get this one out of the way first. So, and I use light coats of 205G0 when I lube Alps stabilizers, and I'll kind of show you my methodology. I've kind of evolved in how I've learned about Alps. So this one, we have these 2 stabilizer posts right here for the space bar. So there's 2 corresponding inserts that are on the space bar that will rest inside those posts. So we're going to add a light coat of 205G0 to the exterior of these posts. That's just going to make this a little bit more smooth. So, okay, got a coat on that post, and then we'll go to this post. All right, cool. All right, and then I lube the part of the wire that's good. There are clips under the underside of the keycap. So those clips right there, part of the wire is going to go inside that keycap. So I lube the part of the wire that goes inside those clips. And then that does pretty good at killing a lot of the rattle and the wobble of these things. The thing with Alps stabilizers is they're very different from like Cherry MX stabilizers. These are what we like to call plate mount stabilizers. So there are really, at least with vintage Alps stuff, there is no PCB mounted stabilizers. Like, were very common and most popular with Cherry MX today. So that's just a thing to know. But they're very simple. Alps stabs are a very simple system, and they're a very easy stabilizer to work with. But the space bars are still a pain in the ass. So I gotta be very careful on how I do these, and I gotta go to like a certain angle to clip stuff in. There we go. Alright, Alps spacebar is in. Sorry, I have to look at it from a certain angle to make sure I get everything right. But yeah, that spacebar is good to go. Next one's big ass enter. So big ass enter is our next keycap that we're gonna work on. That's probably the second most. That's the keycap that's the second biggest pain in the ass. Let's see if I can get some on there a little bit more tight. Okay, these ones suck. All right, these clips on the bottom are kind of sucking, so we're going to get some better clips. So I have a metric crapload of Alps parts. Yeah, so let's get that. So let's grab these. Let's find some better clips here. As you can see, I have a lot of Alps stabilizer parts, by the way. So you can never have too many. There we go, this one. Well, that's 6. Let's try these. Boom! Yeah, we're going with those. Nice. Alright, cool. We go with those. Let's add, so there's a stabilizing rod here under the cap. Let's go inserts. There's a stabilizing post in here. So we're going to add a little coat of 205G0 to this post. That's just going to make it a little bit smoother. So a nice little coating to it. Cool. There's that. And then we're going to do this. We'll add some 205G0 to this particular wire. Alright, so now here comes the fun part. Clipping this in. Cool. Alright. So these clips right here that came with this board kind of suck and they're not going into the keycaps correctly. So we're going to get rid of these and we're going to go with some that are a little bit better. So we're going to put some better clips in these. Oh yeah, those are interfacing quite nicely. So we're going to go with these. We're going to go with these black clips under here. They're just a lot tighter. And I think they're going to be last a lot longer. So we're going to go with these black clips. Cool. So we're just going to put these under there. I'm going to hold those wires till the end of time, everybody. Yeah, this tells you how many boards I've gone through. Like, again, I've harvested a lot of Alps boards, especially earlier in my time of getting into Alps. So these are just the parts I've acquired. So I have a good stockpile. If you're working on a board or you're restoring Alps and you need parts, definitely reach out to me. I may have stuff. I may have some stuff. I've definitely helped people with like smaller Alps parts. Like they don't need an entire board. They don't need switches, but there may be like small parts, like stabilizer parts or wires that they need. And I usually have them on hand. So just as an FYI, folks, if you need parts in the future, I may be able to help you with Alps stuff. Just putting the rest of these parts away. So I got a lot of parts. So we're just getting these in here. And then once we get those done, the last 4 stabilizers are really quick. It's just the space bar and the big ass enter are just kind of a pain in the butt. So just getting the rest of these parts put away. Let me just grab these. Cool. All right. Let's put these back. Almost there. All right. Let's get these wires here. All right. Let's clip these wires in. Okay. There's that one. That one, and then backspace. Nice. All right, let's start off with our left shift. Let's grab that. Gosh darn it. Grab a rag really quick. I don't want to let 205G0 right there. Oops. Yeah, give me a minute. Let me just get that 205G0. Oops. I don't want that on my plate. Alright, there we go. Let's try that again. Cool. So there's our little shift right there. All right. Let's move on to our backspace. Cool. Almost there, friends. Just gotta do our, so let's do our 0 in the numpad. Cool. Almost there, friends. And then we just gotta do this last one, or enter, on the numpad, and then we can start getting this board together. Start doing our keycaps, and then we'll just do final assembly. Okay, let's get this. Cool. Alright, we're done with lube, everybody. Let's start putting keycaps on. And then we'll start doing final... We'll do the final assembly inside the board, and I think we'll get on out of here, folks. So, alright, let's do our big keycaps. So we're going to put our control. So I got a control and caps lock, so we got to switch the DIN switch to number 5. We got to swap. So that switch right there, because control's right here and caps lock is down here for some weird reason. So I'll come back to those. All right, Control Alt, that bottom row stuff. We got to. Those are going to be weird in terms of how those are programmed. So I'm going to wait till the board is put in to do those. But yeah, we're going to be good. So we got our num lock right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Someone just messaged me on Reddit. Let's see what we got. Hold up. Who's this? Oh, a guy just messaged me about stuff. Man, these are sick. Sorry, a guy about who... I talked about Model M's earlier, and a guy messaged who has a bunch of Model M's he's looking to get rid of. Are looking really good. Cool. Let's come back to it. Let's put our shift right here. Awesome. Caps lock. That's another one we got to put Yeah, so those we got to figure out where those are going. Our escape goes up here, which is nice. Okay, our delete goes right there. So yeah, we're going good. So F1. Okay, our page. Oop. Yeah. Cool. All right, let's put our print screen up there. All right, pause is going up here. So yeah, we're just putting our keycaps in. But yeah, looking good so far. So that's gonna go 8 right there. Oh, this is gonna be such a sick board. I cannot wait to get this board in the case. Yeah, this is an awesome board. Yeah. Alright, so let's go to that slash right there. Alright, F7 goes right there. Awesome. Oh. Our F column is looking really good. Yeah, this is such a big board, which I love. I like big boards, and I cannot lie. To be completely honest, everyone. Maybe. I love Queso is one of my favorite people on the internet. I definitely want to jump on his stream once we're done here. But to answer this, so the guy had like 50 keyboards. So no, there was a guy I'd say like a week ago on the Model M subreddit. He posted that he was kind of cleaning out and downsizing his collection, and he has a ton of IBM Model M's. So he just sent me some pictures of them, and I just told him like. I just kind of quickly scrolled through them, and I told him like I'm on stream right now, and like give me like probably later this evening I'll like kind of respond to him and see like what I would want from his collection. But he has some really cool stuff that I definitely would like. So yeah, I definitely want to see, because I do want a Model M, and if I can get one for cheap that's like pretty clapped that I can clean up, that would be really, really nice. So all right. And then this one should be equals right there. Perfect. And then that goes down there. All right, so let's do this. So let's go to our number pad. We got most of those keys. The bottom row we're going to have to figure out. Oh, this is going to be so sick. Ooh. These already sound amazing. There's our tilde key. Got our F4 right there. Our F column, look at that. I don't know. I just kind of quickly glanced at it. I don't know if I saw any square badges, but like I said, like, I'll be completely honest. I want a couple of like really, really cheap IBM Model M's so I can harvest them for keycaps for the battleships and the battlecruiser. To be completely honest, like the Model M, I do want one Model M for like my restored collection, but I want a square badge. The silver square badge, and I know those are a little bit more expensive than like the gray and the blue badge ones. So if he has those keyboards are probably just gonna get harvested for keycaps and used for parts. And then later down the line, I'll get like a proper like square badged one. But I was really more interested in him just looking if they were cheap to like get them for parts. Because I mainly need the parts to kind of redo the battle cruiser and the battleship the way I want to do them. So we're going to kind of see how those go. So core T. Yeah, we're coming along though. Yeah, these are going really nice. Slowly putting them all in. Aw, the best one, everybody. Press F to pay respects, everybody. Press F. Can I get an F for the chat, everybody? It's always good. It's one of my favorite memes ever. Thank you, Call of Duty. All right. Getting there, folks. Getting there. All right. Getting there. XCV. Okay, X. All right, getting there. Thanks, Blue Cubes. All right, JK. Okay, ASD, almost there. 5 right there. Okay, numpad looks really good. And then P. All right, so we have these. I'm going to put this bottom row on here in a second. I want to get this mounted in the keyboard because we got to test and make sure I put the right DIN switch. So we're going to get this puppy mounted, and then we're going to kind of go from there. Okay, so let's get this properly mounted. Cool. All right, let's move the work pad out of the way because we're pretty much done with that. Let's plug in our cable so we can connect to our port. There we go. All right, let's mount. Let's mount this thing, and then we're going to do a quick test. So let's get the bottom mount installed. So let's screw this plate and PCB down. So let's get this secured in the case. Yeah, it's such a clean board. And I'll show you guys something that's really cool about this board, which I think is awesome. I've torn enough of these Omnikeys down. Cool. Alright, let's get this thing plugged in. And we're going to put my PS2 cable. Here we go. Here we go. Alright, let's get this PS2 cable plugged in. All right, let's get VIA opened up. So let's get my screen share going. All right, here we go, friends. So let's reset it and make sure I reset. Okay, we're set correctly. So this. Okay, this is correct. Caps lock is down here. Sounds good. Okay, this is this. Control is right here. Alt is right here. We're having a problem here. This switch isn't registering, but should be. Let me just go back. Let's see what's up with the switch. This switch right here, for some reason, is being weird. So we're gonna undo this and try this again. All right. So let's get this one going. Okay. We're going to do some tests. Figure out what the heck's going on. Who knows? We may have to get the decider gun out, everybody. So let's get the mat right here. And let's get the multimeter out. Who knows? We may have to do some desoldering tonight. We're going to test right now. So, alright. What? Oh. Okay, so this switch right here. I don't know what's up with this. Alright, let's see what we got. Alright. If I could untwist these leads. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can, like... Yeah, that's so weird. Earlier when we were testing it, I know, we were so close. I don't know why that worked earlier, and now it doesn't. Okay. I'm just going to swap the switch because I'm lazy. Even though this is technically more work, but I just want to do it right. So, God darn it. That's alright. We'll figure it out. Alright, let me just move some stuff around. Dang it, we were so close. Like Blue keeps saying, we were so close to a perfect board. Bruh. That's okay. I'm not too worried about it. I'll figure it out. There we go. Alright, let me get some... Let's get some tools out. There we go. Let's fire this puppy up. Get the hackle out. Oh, this damn tool. Fire up the soldering iron because we're going to have to solder a switch in. It's okay. Alright. Well, that heats up. It's this switch right there. Let's pull the keycap off while we're at it, since it's soldered in right now. So let's get a new switch plate. We have the short white switch plates on this one, not the gray ones. So there we go. Let's grab that. As you can see, I have a metric crap load of these, so I have hundreds. So we are chilling. I know, we're so close. Blue Keebs, we were so close, my man. So, alright. Keycap's off. Let's flip this over. It's okay. We were so close to being done, everybody. Good God. So, it's fine. Like I said, I'm not too worried about it. Alright, Hacko's good. Let's make sure. Yeah, we're good. And Hecko's already clogged. I swear, I'm glad I only had to do one switch because the Hecko's already clogged. I'm like, damn, dumbass tool. God. Yep, we're clogged. Look. I love this thing, but it drives me crazy. Like, this is such a great tool. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's also a pain in the ass owning this thing. I'm glad I only had to do one switch. But it's fine. It's fine for right now. Hey, at least it's one switch, like you said, Blue Keeps, but just want to check the nozzle really quick. Make sure we're clear. Kind of obstructed. We'll clean that out in a second. Yeah, I don't want to bust this nozzle. So we're going to clean the nozzle out really quick. Before we move on, we're just going to do a quick clean out of this. I just want to get the nozzle cleaned. All right, nozzle's good. And then we're just going to clean the tip off really quick. So. And hat goes good. Yeah, we're good. Alright, hat goes good. Let's just put it away again, carefully. I'll put it away so it can cool down for a little bit. So, we are good there. Cool. Alright, there we go, friends. So let's pull this switch out and let's see what the heck's up with it. Where'd my multimeter go? Still need this stupid thing. So let's pull this switch out. Okay. So let's do a quick test. Make sure it's properly dead. Yeah, that's a dead switch plate. That's really weird, but hey, we're gonna fix it. Give me a second. A little Sharpie, fix off a chip right there. All right, let's pull out this switch, and we're gonna get going. But yeah, like you said, Blue Cubes, at least it's one switch. It's not like a million. Because Blue Cubes, you've been around for the streams where we would have like half the board switches be dead. So since I learned to use the multimeter to test switches, it's definitely saved a lot of time and a headache. But yeah, I'll take one switch over like the failure rate we used to have with like greens and like oranges. So yeah, this is fine. This is definitely nice. All right, let's just get this one. All right, let's test that really quick. All right. All right, that should be good. That should do it. So, all right. Cool. All right, that's pushed in. Let's push these away. Alright, let's put the multimeter away for right now. I think we're good. Alright. Also put this to the side. And then also put these white switch plates away. There we go. Alright, let's flip this over. And let's quickly solder the switch. Awesome, and then this one. Alright, I think we should be good. Alright, let's get the case. Let's remount this puppy. I don't know. Alright, let's remount this. So let's put these bottom mount screws back in. I think that should do it. Like I said, I would just want everything to work flawlessly on these boards because these boards are properly restored. And I want these boards, these are 30, 40-year-old boards, and I want them to work for another 30 to 40 years before they would have to be restored again. So I want these boards to be working for a very, very long time. So I think we should be good. Once we got the board bottom mounted, we'll then let's mount this in. Okay, let's just do a quick test. Okay, so let's do a quick test of this. So let's get let's transition. Hello friends. Alright, let's reset. And this bottom, there we go. It's working as Alt. And I'll kind of explain why that bottom key is Alt. Cool. Alright, let me get Via out of the way. Let's transition. There we go. Cool. Alright, friends. Let me just put the little work mat away for right now. And let me show you all what's going on with this board and what makes these boards really cool. A little kind of fun fact about this little story about these boards. So, back in the day with computing, so like the 80s and 1990s, a bunch of different computer manufacturers use their own protocols. So that's how like a keyboard or a mouse would that was like the language. A protocol is like how the language at the keyboard or any peripheral used to communicate with the computer. We're very fortunate today. Pretty much every peripheral, whether it's a printer, a keyboard, a mouse, a microphone, a camera, interfaces via USB. That's a universal. It's universal serial bus. It's a universal protocol that can communicate with the Windows PC, a Linux machine, a Mac, and pretty much every other operating system in the modern computing world. Like USB is amazing. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. So, like for example, like let me grab a board. Let me grab the IBM. This one. This is called the IBM Model FXT. It's called XT for the protocol that it used. So it only really worked with XT keyboards. For this keyboard to work with a modern computer via USB, you either have to get a converter or you have to rewire the cable so that XT protocol can be converted to USB. What's really cool about these boards right here is these boards were able to, Northgate Computer Systems realized that these keyboards were really popular and people liked using them with other computers other than Northgate computers. So they actually designed systems in place for these computers to interface with other protocols. So these dip switches right here allow you to kind of switch layouts and also switch protocols, which is really, really cool. So one of the things I have to switch the number 5 dip switch up because control is up here, caps lock is actually down here, and your left alt is over here where your left control normally is. And then if you look over here on this side, control and alt are also swapped. If you swap dip switch number 4 or 6, you can swap the backslash key and the star key. The backslash key can go down here and the star key can go up here. And again, these other dip switches support different layouts and other protocols. So that's something that's really, really cool with these boards. I want to grab a couple other boards too. There's a cool tidbits about these boards. Let me grab 2 boards right now. All right. Here's a Northgate Omnikey Ultra, the big boutique version, top of the line version. So what's cool about this is these boards, again, they came in a ton of different models. This is the Omnikey Ultra with Amber Alps. This board is actually kind of a pain in the ass to type on because these Amber Alps are ridiculously heavy. These are 80-gram spring weight, so the board is brilliant. The switches are smooth, but they are heavy, and this is a fatiguing board to type on. I have no idea what the orange button does, Blue Cubes. I have yet to figure it out. I've yet to figure out what it does. But yeah, it's really cool. But one thing about these boards that I think is really cool, especially like the Omnikey Ultra, this board also comes with a dip switch, but it has a whole freaking daughter board that's kind of in the bottom of the case that's mounted, which is really cool. So again, also to support different protocols, this supports different cables. So these two outer ports are Apple desktop bus ports. So you can interface this with Macintosh keyboard computers back in the day, which was really cool. And then it also has a PS2 port, which allows you to interface with a ton of other vintage computers, which is awesome. And again, to switch those protocols, you can just go through the dip switches right here, which is really awesome. So a really cool little feature that those boards had from back in the day. But one thing I also want to show is parts interchangeability. There's not a lot of information about how these boards are built, like in terms of the parts. I've pretty much gone through almost the entirety of the Omnikey product line. I've noticed some interesting thing. Northgate Omnikey pretty much used interchangeable parts between different board models. So for example, this is the Omnikey Ultra T. So this is the Omnikey Ultra T right here. What's really cool about this keyboard and this Omnikey 102 with the escape key up here in the top row, they use the same plate and same PCB. So if I were to screw it, let me take my top case off and I'll show you the parts and how pretty much the PCB assembly and plate are exactly the same. And that's something that's really cool with these old Omnikeys, which I think is really cool. And there's not a lot of information out there that people have kind of published. Now, there's a lot of information about these boards, but in terms of the parts interchangeability, I find that really fascinating. So let me just take the bottom screws off of the Omnikey Ultra. And we're going to show you guys, again, they use the exact same plate and PCB. And I mean the exact same. It's kind of crazy. And that's not and my other Omnikeys do not have the same PCB and plate interchangeability. It's these two particular models that have these kind of interchangeable parts. Because the plate and the PCB are kind of the heart of the keyboard, which is pretty cool. So let's take this top case off carefully. And here we go. And as you can see, I want you to take a note of the very top. Again, these capacitors are different. So again, this is the original PCB and plate that went with this keyboard. I kept track when I labeled the parts. But other than these capacitors being different, they're the same freaking PCB, which I think is really cool. So again, you have the same dip switch and switch assembly up here. The diodes are pretty much the same. And again, if you look at the marking numbers too, they're exactly the same. I think the only difference is these caps right here are a little bit different. But they're pretty much the same, which I find just so interesting and so fascinating about this. About these two particular models is that parts interchangeability. So that's something that is really cool. And again, as you can see the plates too, that T navigation cluster, that's the same right there. So again, the only difference between these two boards is, again, this one has the second F row at the very top, which is pretty cool. So it has a standard F row, whereas this one just kind of leaves it blank. And then it's covered by the PCB. So really, even also with these boards, the bottom cases are the same. And again, the cable that both boards use is also going to be the same. So that's something that is just, I find really interesting with these particular old keyboards, is that parts interchangeability. And again, these keyboards are absolutely gorgeous. This one is built SKCM creams. And this one, of course, is built with the Pine Blacks. Oh yeah, those have a very different sound. These are a little deeper. The SKCM creams are a little bit deeper. We'll also do a sound. We'll put the top cases on these, and we'll do sound tests between the Omnikeys that are built right now. So this is the Omnikey Ultra. So let's put the Ultra back together. So let's get that case mounted and whatnot. Let's put this one over here for right now. Let's get the Omnikey Ultra T back together. Alright, so let's get the Ultra T back. So yeah, that's just something I noticed that's really cool between these two specific models. And then we can kind of showcase all of the Omnikeys as they are built so far. I think is really awesome. So yeah, let's put the Ultra T. Let's get its thing pretty good. So yeah, we're going pretty good. Come on. All right. getting these screws put back together. Yeah, but that is something that I find really cool with these particular boards. So I love it. So, yeah, definitely my favorite family of vintage keyboards. Northgate Omnikeys are absolutely amazing. And let's get that last screw. And then this beauty will be pretty much ready to go. It'll be all back together. So, again, here's our Ultra T. Looking beautiful, by the way. Oh my god, dude, these SKCM creams are awesome. And they're very deep. Like, these honestly sound like the green linear Alps. Like, these are awesome switches. Very rare. But, yeah, really good ones. And then, of course, we have our Ultra, which is, like, it's just the gold, it's the gigantic big boy Omnikey. Like, this board is awesome. The only thing about this board, I love this keyboard. I can't type on it for prolonged periods. The 80-gram spring weight of the Ambers is really fatiguing. You don't think, most Alps are 70 grams, and those are lovely. You don't think that 10-gram spring weight makes a difference, but like 80, there's a huge difference between 70 and 80-gram spring weights, and this is a very fatiguing board. I took this to work last week, and I did a lot of like grade entry for my students, and oh my god, my hands were like dying after using this board for a day. So like this board is awesome and it's not changing. Amber Alps are not going anywhere. Like the point of this keyboard rebuild was to put an insane Alp switch in it. So this is more of a showcase piece, and I'll use it in small stretches, but I cannot type. I could not do like a day of work or like a day of productivity on this keyboard. Ugh. I can't do it. It's too much, unfortunately. So, but yeah, let's get the 102 back and let's put its top case on. So where'd I put the top case? Here it is. So, yeah, so let's do this one. Let's put the top case back on and give this keyboard its beautiful look. Look at that, people. Look at that. That is freaking awesome. I love it. Let's flip it over and let's get her together. So let's start screwing our case in and then we'll get going. And we'll kind of show you guys the Omnikey family so far as we kind of have it. Because we have 6 of my 7 Omnikeys. Wait, 5 of the 7 Omnikeys put together. We'll be building the orange out. We'll be doing the Omnikey 101 probably Thursday. And then probably the 101N sometime later this week. I'll probably do the switches over the weekend. And probably next week we'll do the 101. Probably next Monday we'll do the 101N. So I'm thinking Thursday we do the Orange Alps 101. And then Monday next week we'll do the 101N. And then probably later in February we'll start doing the Macintosh boards. So yeah, got a lot of good stuff coming up. A lot of exciting projects. But yeah, once we get the last these boards done, then we'll start doing the Apple boards. And then once the Apple board's done, we'll do the FK2001s, and then we'll kind of go from there and see where we are in time. So, but yeah, there's probably hundreds. I mean, when all my personal Alps collection is rebuilt, we'll probably be in the hundreds of hours at this point, putting these boards back together. So, yeah, there's a lot of work in each of these boards, like I said. So, wait, here we go, folks. Here it is. So here are So here is the Northgate Omnikey 102, which I call the R1 Escape. I call this model because there's another 102 that I've tracked down that has no escape up here, so I just call it the Omnikey 102. This is the I like to call this one the Omnikey 102 R1 Escape because that escape key is right there. So let's see how this sounds. Oh my god, those are amazing. Oh, I put the G and the H in the wrong spot. Oops. Look, my G and my H. Man, I should know my alphabet by this point. Build so many freaking keyboards, I should be able to put keycaps in the right spot. Oops. Alright. Switch those really quick. There we go. Alright, there we go. That is proper now, but yeah. Oh my god, those are lovely to type on. I have pine blacks. Oh my god. All right, give me a second. So here's pine blacks. So I do have bamboo blacks, but they're in a modern. I don't have bamboo blacks, and actually crap. I do have bamboo blacks. Give me a second. We do have bamboo blacks, and they're not cleaned or restored, but we got bamboo blacks and this keyboard I got from the USC president, keyboard club president. So let's check this one out. So we actually do have example. So we have bamboo Alps right here. These are actually really good condition bamboo Alps. Let me just move my. Let me get my blue Alps board out of the way. Give me a second. Let's grab this board and get it out of the way. Alright, so we actually do have a vintage Black Alps. So these are bamboo Alps, and these are pine Black Alps. So we can kind of compare both, which I think is really cool. So here are the bamboos. These are in really good condition. I can't wait for the project I have planned for these. And now let's do bamboos. I mean, pine Alps. I mean, take this with a grain of salt. These switches are not restored at all. But these are bamboo, late black tactile Alps. These are pine black tactiles, which are early Black Alps. Oh my god, yeah, that's awesome. Now let's compare it to like a more modern board. So I have bamboo Alps in a AO3 Polaris. Oh yeah, dude. So Blue Keeps, that black AT101W. I want the Black Alps in it. It's the bamboo Alps for the Frog Ligera TKL. But I will restore that board and like switch swap it with something else. I might put ivories in it, but that board definitely will get restored and probably given away later in the future, or kept depending on what I do with it. But I want the switches inside it for sure. So yeah, that's looking pretty good. So let me move some solder equipment out of the way because I do want to showcase all the Omnikeys as they are. So give me a quick second, folks. I'm just going to take my soldering iron and put it somewhere else. Give me a second. All right, so let's move some Omnikeys. Let's kind of showcase these puppies. All right, I'm going to have to put them sideways just to kind of make room and see if I can get them all on camera. Here's the Omnikey Plus. So, yeah, I got Omnikeys for days. All right, there's Omnikey 102. I can't even fit them all in frame. Look at that. Omnikey Plus. So, like, yeah, I got Omnikeys for your Omnikeys, man. So, like, we got an Ultra. Look at that. Look, we got a gold. Look at that. We got the sought-after rare gold badge Omnikey right there. Look at that beauty. And then, oh, don't worry. We're going to keep going, folks. We got an Omnikey Ultra T. We got the Omnikey 101, everybody, that needs to be built. We'll build that on Thursday. And also, friends, we have the Omnikey 101N, which still needs a set of restored switches. So, yeah, that is 7 of the 10 original Omnikeys. Each one of these has a different switch type, everybody. You know what's funny? The AT101W is a cool board. I will be restoring this board eventually, but I want to harvest it for the switches because I want these switches for a modern Alps project. But I will restore this keyboard and put Alps switches back in it. But I really want the switches out of this board. But yeah, this is a cool board. AT101W, fun board, and I got it for free. So, but yeah, there we go, friends. Those are all the Omnikeys. I'm gonna now let's do a. I'm gonna move the Omnikeys out of the way, the 5 built ones, and we're going to do some switch tests. We're going to do some sound comparisons. So, give me a second. Let me just kind of get the Omnikeys carefully moved. Because, yeah, we got a lot of them. So, All right, let's keep the 102 out. Move Ultra. Yeah, we have so many freaking Omnikeys, man. It's awesome. I love it. Yeah, dude, I got the black AT101W. Dude, the USC president literally saved that AT101W from the E-Way spin at USC. So he said, here, you can have it. I'm like, sweet, I'll take it. Because I was going to get one a few months ago, and the guy wanted like $120, and I said, nah, that's too much for that keyboard. So, all right, folks, let's rotate through some sound tests on these ones. Oh, yeah, dude, I'm glad I have one, but we're going to switch swap it for sure. Restore it and switch swap it. So here's the 102 R1 Escape. Yeah, that's lovely. That is a lovely keyboard. So that's the 102. Let's show the Blue Alps Gold badge. This technically is an Omnikey 102, but it has Blue Alps and it's early, and it has no R1 Escape. So love this board. This is my favorite, and this is my daily driver. This one never leaves my desk for the most part. Blue Alps. Oh my god, these are so good. Ah, so freaking good. Alright. Here's the Omnikey Ultra T with Alps SKCM Cream Tactile Alps. Very early Alps, first generation. Oh, so good. Alright, we have the Omnikey Plus. This is built with Alps SKCL green linear switches. This is probably the deepest of the sounding. These are the oldest Alps switches I have. Green Alps are the oldest in original Alps SKCL SKCM switch. And they ping like crazy, and I love it. So, awesome board right there. And then we also have kind of the centerpiece of the Omnikey collection, the Omnikey Ultra, with the very rare Amber Alps. So yeah, those are freaking awesome. So, and then I'll just show off the next two Omnikeys we got to build. So here's the Omnikey 101. This is a really cool board. You got the Omnikey 101 family. There's 4 of them that Omnikey made in their Omnikey lineup. These use a kind of a standard AT101. This is a really cool one because it's the only Omnikey that has an ANSI enter and then a full 2U plus on the numpad. So this uses a standard AT101 layout. So this one's actually very sought after. And then we also have the Omnikey 101N. This is the same as this board. It's just not wing keyless. It has a big S enter. It has the split plus on the numpad, and it has an 8K cluster, which is really cool. So we're going to build this one on Thursday, and then we'll probably build this on Monday. I'll keep you guys posted on the process of the switches. I need to still lube and reassemble the switches for this board and also test them. But yeah, these are the next two upcoming builds that we're going to do. For the Omnikey family. So we'll do this one next, folks, with Orange Alps, and it's going to be so freaking good. But let's get that 102 back up here, because that's what we kind of came here for this evening, folks. Oh, dude, it's amazing, and I cannot wait to have all 10. And honestly, I may just start going to meets and just taking the Omnikeys, because all my Omnikeys pretty much have all the main Alps switches. And that's a really cool showcase of what you can do with Alps, and they're just such an amazing family of keyboards. So yeah, here is the 102 R1 Escape. Honestly, I like these. Like, prior to this build, I have 0 experience with Pine Black tactile Alps, and these are lovely. Holy cow. I'm putting these switches in my Seal full size, by the way. So that build will probably be coming within the next month or so. But yeah, these are awesome. Oh my god. Yeah, Blue Cubes, if you see any Dell, I think it's the GYUM97SK, please send them to me, because I do need more Pine Blacks. Because I got most of these Pine Blacks from those 2 that you found a couple months back that were like less than $100. So if you find any more of those, please send them my way, and I will definitely pick them up because I need more pine blacks for some projects. These are awesome. I really like this switch. This is awesome. So yeah, folks. And another cool thing about this one too, there's this little door right here that gives you full access to the dip switch, which is really cool. I don't want more bamboo. I need more pine blacks. So you lift up so what's really cool about these ones, the logo is a little door. So you lift that up and that gives you access to that orange button, which we still don't know what it does, and the actual array of dip switches, which is really cool. So that's a nice little feature on these. So we'll close that. But yeah, here we go, folks. That is our build. So again, everybody, the VOD is going to be up on YouTube later this evening. And be on the lookout for some really cool pictures of this particular keyboard. So, everyone, I just want to give a big thank you to everyone who's kind of tuned in throughout all of our streams. Again, this was our very first Twitch stream where we are an official Twitch affiliate. So I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who comes here and supports this very strange keyboard show, whether you're following us on Instagram, again, on the Discord server, commenting on Reddit, like subscribe on YouTube or Twitch. Again, huge thank you. All you awesome people on the internet are what kind of makes this little fun endeavor possible. So again, huge thank you to everybody who kind of tunes in and supports us, so whether it be a follow or just a simple view. So again, huge thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening.